look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Thursday, February 29th, 2024. I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown. Today is Leap Day. Fox's Tanya J. Powers explains why the day rolls around every 4 years.
It's Leap Day, that extra 24 hours tacked onto the end of February that keeps us on track calendar-wise. But why do we have leap years? NASA says it's because the calendar year and Earth's orbit don't exactly match. 1 year on the calendar is 365 days, but it actually takes 6 extra hours per year for the Earth to orbit the sun.
And House and Senate leaders reaching a tentative deal to avoid a government shutdown. House Speaker Mike Johnson confirming to Fox's Hannity the meeting was intense as he met with President Biden at the White House, insisting he stood with the American people during discussions.
I reminded the president and all involved that the number one issue in America is that open border, the catastrophe that we have that President Biden himself designed.
I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
Biden and Trump at the border today, evaluating the crisis, the bad, the ugly. There is nothing good.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99 and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLAFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. CarShield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Thursday, the essential question President Biden refuses to answer is why he will not close the southern border in the face of so much death and suffering. Why won't he issue an executive order suspending asylum claims until the USA can reorganize its immigration strategy and regulations? There is only one answer. Joe Biden doesn't care enough to do that. Sure, he can and does make excuses for the border, but he really isn't all that concerned about 10 million migrants and a record amount of narcotics flowing into America on his watch. Mr. Biden is not alone in his appalling apathy. Andrew Jackson, for example, and a number of other presidents held slaves, not caring a whit about them. Jackson was particularly brutal towards Native Americans as well. Franklin Roosevelt could have bombed the railway tracks to Auschwitz when he knew Jews were being incinerated there. He didn't care enough to do it. Lyndon Johnson allowed the Vietnam War to rage out of control, understanding he was not protecting American troops as well as he could have. He basically ignored the death and destruction for 5 years. President James Buchanan knew Union troops needed food and ammunition at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. He refused to send supplies to them because he feared he would be blamed for the Civil War. So, presidents don't care about a lot of stuff, and Joe Biden leads the league. Back after this. If you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon, up to about 53 today, close to normal for Leap Day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill.
Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Or on your radio.
At 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
Welcome home.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, on the Missouri side of the News Talk STL listening area, we're just about to the halfway point of the Missouri legislative session. You know, we're heading into their spring break, and they really haven't gotten much done. Now, some of that's fighting between Republicans and Democrats, but a lot of that is fighting amongst Republicans, you know, establishment versus conservatives. Once again, on the Illinois side of the News Talk STL listening area, getting nothing done would be the ideal because that just means we stop a bunch of bad stuff from happening. But at least in Missouri, in theory, we have the chance to expand freedom and particularly school choice. Will that happen? Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on today. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your morning once again here on this Thursday. David Williams from the Taxpayer Protection Alliance was with us on Wednesday's show, and he had some interesting information, including, is it possible that Congress critters in this Congress actually have some ideas and a proposal that we could get behind when it comes to taxing us? Yeah, I know. I had to do a double take myself, but here's what David had to say.
Before we get to our discussion, I just wanted to throw something out there. On Hannity last night, Senator John
Kennedy was one of the guests. He was talking about inflation and shrinkflation and what's affecting taxpayers. And I want to get your reaction to this because we refer to Senator John Kennedy, Gabe, as what?
A national treasure.
A national treasure. And so here's what he had to say last night on Hannity.
But when he tries to blame shrinkflation and inflation on small business people, you have to consider the source. So much of the attention right now is on President Biden's age. And it's true that it takes longer than a trip to Jupiter for him to walk across the stage. But we can't lose sight of the fact that his economic policies have been almost every time reliably and dependably wrong. And his inflation is a cancer on the American dream. And the American people have figured it out, and that's why, if you believe the polls, the president is polling right up there with chlamydia.
And so, as only Senator Kennedy could say.
Wow.
So let's start there, David, because I want to get into this tax bill, and then I want to get into, obviously, the other aspects of what's happening with the economy right now, including this possible so-called shutdown. But when you've got the president talking about inflation, he's talking about shrinkflation, and now Joe Biden wants to fight inflation. We know where the problems are coming from, but it just seems like the administration wants to double down on them.
Yeah, good morning. And the problems, the calls coming from inside the House, right? The problem is coming from inside Washington, D.C. and within the Biden administration. And what I find just incredulous is that they're taking credit for inflation, coming down to, I think it's 3.5%. But listen, it's up 17, almost 18% since he took office. And people are losing sight of that. We're talking about an 18% increase in the cost of goods since he came into office. And that's what people feel, right? You go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, people see this. And, that's why people don't listen to politicians anymore. Maybe Kennedy, because he does say some interesting things. But, people know what inflation is and just that it's really not under control yet.
Good morning, David. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I saw a chart recently that showed the share of disposable income that's going towards food in American households, and there's been a spike recently, and it seems to juxtapose, against the narrative that, well, we've got things under control. Inflation isn't that bad. Even the technically, I guess, bad inflation numbers don't seem to capture how much money we're spending on essentials like food these days.
No, it doesn't. And when you look at the policies of the Biden administration, they're doing another student loan bailout. That causes inflation. Everything, when you pump more money into the economy via the government, you are causing inflation. I mean, that's what happened during COVID, that so much money was pumped into the economy. Now, another student loan bailout, that's going to make things even worse. And, we're in the time of year, and this is a political season, obviously, with election coming up, is that the administration is going to do this. They're going to try to buy the votes of people, and they're doing that with the bailouts and other big spending packages. So this is a real problem. And, people are sitting at home going, wait a second, where's my relief? Where's my price relief? Wages have gone up a little bit, but not even close to what inflation has done to the bottom line.
Well, and that brings me to the question about the bipartisan, what's being called a bipartisan House tax package bill. And there are some conservatives who are saying, hey, let's take a look at this. Is there actually something happening in Washington that we could get behind?
Yeah, and this is something that's going underreported, and I'm really glad we're talking about this because tax reform is the engine that gets this economy going. I mean, look what happened in 2017 when tax reform was passed, when Trump signed tax reform. Companies were giving out, $1,000 bonuses, and I remember Nancy Pelosi was mocking that, saying, "Oh, what's $1,000 to a family?" Well, guess what? $1,000 is a lot of money to a family. I mean, you may not think so, standing next to your, $10,000 refrigerator and your $600 ice cream. But yeah, no, $1,000 is a lot. And it really was a shot in the arm to the economy. And we need more of that because we have a lot of these provisions that are expiring. We have business provisions that expired a couple of years ago that really give small businesses an opportunity. You know, research and development expensing sounds very inside baseball, but if you're a small business, you need to have the ability to expense that immediately so you can grow your business. And then at the end of 2025, we have the individual income tax. Those rates are going to expire, and that's going to be a tax increase. So this is happening very fast, and I'm glad the House of Representatives has finally done something and passed legislation that, and this was done on a bipartisan manner, too. So we had Democrats and Republicans. I think the vote was like 370 to 70. So this was overwhelmingly bipartisan, this package in the House. And that's why there's no reason the Senate shouldn't be taking this up immediately.
Now, what's the outlook in the Senate? I mean, is this something that has a chance?
It does. I just wish we could get past this government shutdown nonsense, and the Senate and the House are so distracted with shutdowns and spending. Well, I'm glad they're distracted with spending, but government spending is they need to address this, but move on. And the Senate can walk and chew gum at the same time. They can bring up this tax package, and they can also deal with a potential government shutdown. It's just the Senate chooses not to do it. The Senate is the most dysfunctional body. You have the House actually doing things. They're having hearings. They're passing legislation, but the Senate is doing nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of the government shutdown, why are we continuing to run into this issue month after month?
Well, because you have the Republicans who have put a firm, line in the sand saying, listen, we have to address the deficit and the debt. We have to pass individual spending bills. We can't keep on doing what we've been doing because it hasn't worked. And the Senate is not taking up the individual spending bills. So it doesn't even get to the Senate where they take these things up. And it's March. I mean, it's almost, the half of the fiscal year is almost over. The fiscal year ends September 30th. And at this point, just do a year-long continuing resolution, keep the government funded at a basic level, right? You don't need to necessarily pass a spending bill to keep the government funded. And it's just, again, they're distracted. They're distracted with this when they should be looking at bigger issues. And how many times have you heard a member of Congress talk about the fact that we eclipsed the $34 trillion mark in our debt last month? I mean, this is a milestone that no one in Congress is talking about yet is critical, $34 trillion. And the debt and deficit's on autopilot, and it's going to increase by at least $2 trillion a year, the debt. And not many members of Congress, I haven't heard one member of Congress talk about this.
Yeah, and this happens every so many months. My guess is we're visiting with David Williams from Taxpayer Protection Alliance. Last minute or so we've got, David, is that I suspect when they kick the can down the road this time that they'll kick it far enough to get past the election, but then we'll be right back to square one. I mean, we've had this under Kevin McCarthy. We're having this now under Mike Johnson. We've had this, under Nancy Pelosi. We've had this under multiple Senate and House leaderships and multiple presidents. Why won't they just commit to a budget? If nothing else, the market then would have something stable to rely on. Even if they don't like the policy, at least it'd be stable, and that could help.
It would be stable. And you're right. Look at the debt ceiling deal from last year. That was pushed till after the election. And I wanted another vote right before the election because I wanted people to be watching what's happening in Washington, D.C. with a debt ceiling, but also with an election that was maybe a week or 2 weeks away, because that would really get people focused, to get members of Congress focused. And you're right about business, man, is that they don't look at tomorrow. They look at 5 years, 10 years down the road, and they look at inflation. They look at a whole bunch of other things. And a dysfunctional Congress is not good for business at all.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing, all over the place. So the elections, I mean, they could be chaotic. Who knows? But if the market knows what to rely on, at least they can plan for it. All right, David, what's top of the radar, top of the agenda for you all right now? And then how do people get in touch or follow what you're doing?
We're at protectingtaxpayers.org, and I would urge people to look what's happening inside the agencies, because a lot of rulemaking is happening that's bad for consumers and taxpayers. The Federal Trade Commission is doing so much bad as they refuse to accept any mergers or acquisitions, and there's so many unaccountable bureaucrats in these agencies, and that's where I would encourage people to look at, because Congress isn't passing a lot, but agencies are doing a lot of damage to the economy.
All right. Hey, David, good talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Getting things going with your first round of the morning news dump just ahead right here is on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
The wait is over. Capriati's is now open. Taste extraordinary with our one-of-a-kind sandwiches, like our award-winning Bobby with hand-pulled butterball turkey and stuffing, our roast beef with hand-sliced American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, or our crowd-favorite classic cheesesteaks with your choice of grilled steak or chicken. No matter which you choose, you'll always get Capriati's high-quality ingredients. Capriati's. Eat extraordinary. Order now at capriatis.com or on the app.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Are you a Republican voter in St. Louis City? This Saturday, March 2nd, grab your Republican friends and make a national impact by voting for a slate of delegates at the Presidential Primary Caucus right here in the city we call home. It's open to all registered Republicans. It's free and it is important. Doors open 9 a.m. at the St. James Center at 1360 Tam Avenue in the gym. Contact us at stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right, here we go. Another ruling to kick Trump off the ballot. This time it's right here in the St. Louis News Talk STL area.
How about that?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Also, will red light cameras make a comeback in the city? They're actually talking about that. Supreme Court, Schmarine Court, whatever. Too early for me to make that sort of thing. All right, then the Blues are on another streak. This time it's not very good still.
All right.
5:50 right now. Good morning. All right, here we go again. Cook County judge orders election officials to remove Donald Trump from the Illinois primary ballot.
From Cook County. Wow,
Yep.
what a shocker.
Yep, Judge Tracy Porter put a 2-day pause on her own order, basically 48 hours, because she knows it's going to be appealed, which it will. I'm sure it's being filed probably this morning. The ruling uses the same reasoning as Colorado and Maine's efforts to keep Trump off their ballots. They are trying to make a claim that the 14th Amendment comes into play here in relation to the riots on January 6th. And last month, the Illinois State Board of Elections heard arguments on both sides of this and voted unanimously, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, to keep Trump on the ballot, completely rejecting these claims. Illinois' primary election, by the way, is March 19th. So literally less than 3 weeks away.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough to stop people who have Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah. So all of the cases, of course, are going to be decided by a ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. It's considering the Colorado case. It's not considering Maine or Hawaii or Illinois or any of those. But whatever the ruling is on that particular case is going to settle all of these, including the Illinois case on that. Here's the thing is we've seen this in, state after state after state. I don't know that there's a lot more to argue about it. The folks who hate Trump have made their case. For the most part, it's been rejected. And in just some of these key states, the judges, like you said, in this case, Cook County, the Supreme Court, they're going to settle it one way or the other. I just don't see, I'm not a lawyer, but I just don't see constitutionally anything that would keep Donald Trump or anybody else off the ballot in this circumstance. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, it doesn't, because that amendment revolves around insurrection, and he was
Right.
never convicted or accused of insurrection, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that's where that is. And the judge goes, well, this was a very thoughtful, ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court. I'm like, all right, well, good for you, I guess. You're going to cash in whatever bonus you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hunter Biden participating in a closed door deposition with lawmakers on Wednesday at Capitol Hill. Remember Hunter Biden? That's kind of been pushed off the headlines. Remember that guy? Yeah. Okay, so congressional Republicans continue the impeachment inquiry against President Biden, and that's why they're interviewing Hunter Biden. House Oversight Committee Chairman Congressman James Comer out of Kentucky was on Hannity last night on Fox. He says, you know what? This was a good deposition for the GOP.
We were able to confirm a lot of the wrongdoings through Hunter Biden's testimony. There are many financial crimes that we believe were committed by the Biden family.
And of course, that's where the Hunter part comes in. Comer says they may hold a public hearing due to the evidence gained from this particular deposition. Republicans still saying that the Biden family has profited from multiple foreign business deals over the years. President Biden and the White House still maintain their well-thought-out defense.
That was an 8-hour deposition, by the way.
Yeah, long one. Very long one. Yeah, it's kind of funny because Hunter Biden originally said, I don't want to do a behind closed doors. Let's do it out in public. And then he goes, okay, well, maybe we should do it without the cameras. Now the Republicans are saying, let's do it out in public. So let's see what Hunter Biden has to say about that. All right. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says he is stepping aside.
Hallelujah.
To allow for a new generation of Republican leadership. McConnell announced that decision to leave his position as minority leader while he was on the Senate floor.
Father Time remains undefeated. I'm no longer the young man sitting in the back, hoping colleagues would remember my name. It's time for the next generation of leadership.
So he's going to step down as Senate Republican leader after the election in November, but he's going to fill out and finish his term, which ends in 2027. He's 82 years old, longest serving Senate leader in history. That goes back to 2006. He's been, of course, facing a lot of pressure to step aside. And the thing is, Grover Norquist pointed out on social media, it's not that Mitch McConnell was always, a roadblock to good stuff. He
deserves
he actually did some good stuff way back in the day, but he's just now so entrenched in what we now call the swamp that it's just time for somebody else to step in. So I'm glad that he's stepping aside. If he wants to finish his term, he'll finish his term. Fine, whatever. But hopefully we get somebody good in there to lead the Republicans in the Senate.
I'm perfectly fine with giving him acclamations for what he did regarding judicial appointments.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
But from the beginning, he's always been refusing to discuss anything regarding the deep state. Oh, there is no deep state. Well, you know what? There is. Sorry, buddy.
All right, a little closer to home here. Despite the Missouri Supreme Court's clear ruling that red light cameras are unconstitutional, the St. Louis Board of Aldermen is considering a bill to have them installed at some intersections in the city. Plenty of debate over that in City Hall. I'm going to go into more detail about that here in just a little bit. I actually dealt with the red light camera issue when I was in office myself, so I'm going to apply a little bit of that. And the thing is that right now, the Board of Aldermen are under a lot of pressure to do something about the crazy drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually understand why they're like, well, let's talk about this, but the Supreme Court ruling is crystal clear. And they're basically saying, yeah, it doesn't apply to us. All right, a couple sports news here. The Redbirds lost Wednesday's spring training game to the Mets. Final score there, 3-0. Nobody cares about the spring training games, but unless this is all of your guys who are likely to start in Double-A, you should be scoring some points. You should be scoring some runs in spring training. So this afternoon, the Cards host the Nationals. That is a 12:05 start time. Kyle Gibson gets the start today. Game's going to be on Bally Sports Midwest if you want to check that one out. And also here, the Blues are now on a losing streak. We can now call it a losing streak. Last night, they ended up on the wrong end of a 3-2 overtime loss in Edmonton. Now, that's their third loss in a row, and they've dropped 5 of their last 6 games.
But they do pick up a point, correct?
Yes, because it was overtime. Yep, exactly. So today's a travel day as the Blues head back home for a Saturday game against Minnesota. And so they're at home for one game, then there's a travel day, and then they're on the road again. I forgot where they're going after that. So they've had really kind of a brutal travel schedule over the last couple of weeks or so. But still, we were on a real high, like 7 out of 10 games they won. Now they've lost, 3 out of their last 4, 5 out of the last 6, actually. So the streakiness of the Blues season continues. It's just they've had more good streaks than bad streaks, and they're still like 3 or 4 games above 500. So that's where we are with it. All right, 314-912-1019. A little bit later, I want to get into this red light camera thing because there's a lot of pressure to get drivers held accountable, but still, red light cameras are really, really creepy.
Looking for a cruise vacation? Cruise.com is offering its exclusive Sale of the Year to all listeners to this station. Every major cruise line, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, MSC, and more, are on sale now. Call 1-800-507-9264 and book one of these deals while supplies last. Cruises start from as low as $39 per person per day. There isn't a better vacation value to places like Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and more. Call one of the largest cruise specialists in the world at 1-800-507-9264. We'll find you a vacation that includes drinks, Wi-Fi, excursions, and more. Call 1-800-507-9264. That's 1-800-507-9264. Space is limited. Don't miss your opportunity to book the best deal of the year. That's 1-800-507-9264. Sponsored by Cruise.com.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. And now there are three. A judge in a third state ruling former President Trump off the primary ballot. This time it's Illinois, where the primary is March 19th. Judge Tracy Porter put her decision on hold until tomorrow, pending an appeal. Although it has to pass muster with Congress, congressional negotiators do have an agreement aimed at averting a pending partial government shutdown for now.
In a joint statement announcing a deal, the House Speaker, the Senate Majority and Minority Leaders, and the House Democratic leaders say we are in agreement that Congress must work in a bipartisan manner to fund our government. That funding is temporary, one set of federal agencies through March 8th, another through March 22nd, and it will need the full House and Senate to vote to approve before Friday's deadline, when some federal monies run out. Passage of the deal would allow time for Congress to try to pass legislation to fund the government for the remainder of the budget year. Ben Thomas, Washington.
The Texas Panhandle is ablaze. More than 20 wildfires raging, charring more than 850,000 acres. Many homes and businesses destroyed, and there was at least one fatality. Panhandle resident Greg Downey says it was a chaotic evacuation.
Luckily, we made it out and into the migrant caravan, which I think was probably about 30 miles long, to the town of Wheeler. And then they evacuated Wheeler. So we headed to Elk City, Oklahoma. Then they said the wind was going to shift from the north. That would be no good. And we finally got lucky and found a room in Childress, Texas, and stayed the night there and came back this morning.
A deadly shooting late last night in Orlando, Florida. One person was killed, several others injured. There's been no word yet on a possible motive or exactly what triggered the gunfire. Stock futures in the red this morning on Wall Street. The Dow futures are down 110 points. NASDAQ futures off 30 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
Top of the seventh looks like a pitching change as they've set up for a corner kick. The two black belts have entered the mat, and the slider is low and away. He heads the ball to midfield. This is quite a kumite. Here comes the roundhouse. Has it got enough gas to get out of here? Unbelievable! They've bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Kick savings pitch karate.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon, up to about 53 today, close to normal for leap day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Joe Biden kicking Commander out of the White House. Documents show Commander Biden bit and attacked Secret Service members at least 24 times.
It's not the dog, it's the owner.
It's just one more aspect of the whole Russian misinformation campaign.
They're willing to carry any water for Trump.
We're going to lose our country, and we have to do something.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Okay, just real quick, I didn't think I was going to hear a promo regarding Hunter Biden's dog or Joe Biden's dog. I'm just saying.
Well, he's guilty 24 times of biting that Secret Service agents.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Hey, you know, the temperatures, I got leaving the house this morning, 27 degrees. It was 86 the other day. So right now your house doesn't know whether to turn the furnace on or turn the air conditioning on. And either way, you need your house to be efficient. You need your house to be efficient because utility costs are going way up. including this inflationary impact that we're all having. That's why you should call my friends at Window World. 314-993-1800. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. Listen, we've all been there. We've all walked by the front door, especially those of us who live in older homes. And St. Louis has so many fantastic, historic homes. But you walk by that front door when it's cold, like, the last couple days, and you feel that cold breeze coming through the window or through that crack in the door. Well, that's why you should call Window World. First of all, their windows are, by the way, the best for less. They are very proud of that because they produce a superior double-strength glass window for less than what you're going to get the generic somewhere else. That's why you should call them today at 314-993-1800 to get a quote from them. But they also do screen doors. So maybe you can't, change out, or you don't want to change out that historic lumbering door, but the house is settled and you've still got that breeze coming through, or you're losing, a little bit of energy efficiency in the summertime, which is right around the corner. Get a custom screen door from Window World and shore that up as well. First of all, it's going to help improve the efficiency of your home. Like I've said, it's going to improve the durability of your home, just the overall performance, because these have a lifetime warranty covering all parts, glass breakage, and labor. I am telling you, Window World products are simply the best for less. They are the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. They are only one of 2 windows in the world with Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And when you call 314-993-1800, you're talking to our friends in Earth City. You are talking to Window World right here in St. Louis. And in just over 20 years of doing business right here in St. Louis, they've improved the look and the thermal efficiency of over 72,000 customers in St. Louis. I am telling you, somebody on your block has Window World windows. You should check it out. Give them a call one more time, 314-993-1800. Have them come do an in-home demonstration. They'll take the measurements, tell you what they can do for you, show you the products that they've got. No pressure. Make up your own mind. But it's a great investment into your home and into your comfort. Window World, windowworld.com, 314-993-1800.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Why don't you pop a squat, son?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
All right, stop complaining, everybody. Stop complaining. The White House says Joe Biden's health is just fine.
Oh, yeah, everything's fine.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. We have nowhere to go. On
This is
Conservative
fine.
Talk Radio, the White House says his health is fine. So I guess that ends it.
Ignore the exploding fireworks factory
exactly.
behind me. Everything is fine.
Yeah,
It's nothing to see here.
It's official and everything now.
Okay.
We'll get to that in just a minute.
All right.
Don't look behind the curtain.
No, not at all. Especially because Joe might trip over it. By the way, you would think that a state Supreme Court ruling would settle the matter of red light cameras in a state.
Yeah, I thought we had kind of been done with that.
We've been done with that for a while, but you would be wrong,
Okay.
Mr. Gabe Pfeiffer.
Well, excuse me. Gosh.
Apparently, some St. Louis City officials believe the Constitution and the ruling does not apply to them. We're going to explain this at 6:20, okay? By the way, I just want to go back to that promo that I shouldn't be making fun of because I'm going to get in trouble because I didn't make the promo. But it's like, Commander Biden bit so many people. I'm like, okay, does that remind me? With your pets, do your pets carry your family last name too?
Technically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because when you go to the vet, it's basically that's how they refer to them.
Your cat's name is what?
Sassy.
Okay, so is it Sassy Pfeiffer?
When we're at the vet, it's Sassy Pfeiffer.
Sassy
I
Pfeiffer.
don't call her like I'm not when I'm calling her across the. I don't I'm not angry. It's like Sassy. Letitia Pfeiffer. I don't even know what her middle name is. I just add.
Rosie has a middle name. And when she's in trouble, she does get the whole thing.
Okay, what's her?
She is. I mean, if I like yesterday, I get home and she's up on the dining table, which she's not supposed to be on,
right.
And she darn well knows it. And I am like, Rosalita Butthead Ferguson.
Now that's a middle name, right?
That's
there.
a middle name. So that's her name. We've decided Rosie. We're like, well, that's got to be a nickname. So if we call her Rosalita, she's in trouble. So she's Rosalita Butthead Ferguson.
Okay.
Our dogs always had a last name.
Yeah.
Because we would register magazine and newspaper subscriptions in their names.
Oh,
and
that's
that way
awesome.
we could find out then, okay, who's passing on information to other organizations.
Wow.
So we had McDougal Ponticus.
McDougal
and he still gets mail.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's awesome.
He's been gone 3 or 4 years, and mail shows up. You know what one of them is? The one from Hillsdale College.
Oh, yeah, the impress or something like
whatever it's called.
Yeah, we get that too, but we get that one on purpose. Rosie didn't order that one.
Well, McDougal did sign up for it, so it's nice that he gets mail.
Avid reader, that McDougal.
Nice,
he is
nice. All right,
or
so
he was.
just because I'm in a goofy mood, I'll just put it out there, especially for the social media. If you have a pet that has a whole last name or a whole name,
like a big name, yeah,
I'd love to hear it. So
absolutely.
I put ours out there: Rosalita Butthead Ferguson,
yes.
Rosie the cat.
Yes.
All right, let's see here. President Biden's doctor issuing a press release saying that the 81-year-old commander-in-chief is both healthy and active, saying his health is robust.
Robot, you have to say it with the rolling R.
It's too
robust.
Insisting that he can still serve the duties of the office after his yearly physical, which was kind of sprung on us yesterday. All right, Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Republican out of Texas, was on Hannity last night on Fox, saying, you know what, I still have some doubts.
If he were serious about this, he would have done a thorough, comprehensive, objective exam that included a cognitive exam, and he would have stood up before the press in the press briefing room, and he would have defended it, and he would have answered questions. But he doesn't, because he doesn't want to answer the questions because he's going to have to lie.
Okay, by the way, this, of course, comes after the special counsel Robert Hur concluded that they're not going to prosecute President Biden for mishandling classified documents because he would be portrayed to a jury as an elderly man with a poor memory.
Right. I mean, that one's on letterhead, too.
It is. That's right.
You know, the whole elderly thing, if Trump can go on stage and do a presentation for 87 minutes, which is what he did in Nashville at the NRB and also at CPAC, it was about an hour and a half. I'm saying if he can do 87, I bet Biden can't even do 8 minutes compared to 87 minutes. So I think there's a real issue there, but maybe that's just me.
Well, it's not Karine Jean-Pierre.
She's got no problems.
Because she was asked about this yesterday at the White House, and here's what she had to say.
If you look at what a clinical cognitive test is actually, what it actually does, it is a 15-minute appointment that is administered by someone that most of the time people don't actually know. And the president has a team of doctors that is with him 24/7, and he is able to do the work.
Okay, can somebody actually find a coherent answer in there on that? I'm like, wait a minute, forget the president, KJP. When let's put you through a cognitive test.
Her word salad is kind of impressive.
Yeah, really,
because you got to put her up there with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden on his best day.
Wow. Okay, so I saw something on Twitter or X this morning I thought was interesting, regarding, for instance, with Joe Biden, because this has been brought up with the Hur report and with his age, obviously, into his 80s and running for re-election. And the question, I wish I could take credit for it, but the question was simply, we have age requirements in the Constitution for, the House and the Senate, and many states have age requirements.
Minimum
for different
ages.
Yeah, minimum ages. So should we add maximum ages? If we've got a minimum age, should there be a maximum age? I mean, there are some maximum ages in private sector. Some states have maximum ages for judges. For instance, I mean, there are judges, in Missouri, for instance, that have to be rotated out, not rotated. They have to leave office because they hit the maximum.
Right.
In the case. So should there be maximum ages considered for president, Senate, House, judges, whatever the case is?
Well, the problem is that, it's one thing to have a general age, a minimum age. Kind of, we all kind of agree to the cloud of understanding and of what that entails. maximum age, once you start getting into those upper ages, it can vary wildly between people. So, you can have a very robust, 80-something-year-old and a
mean
very
like Joe Biden?
level, yeah, exactly, robust, but also a very frail 70-something-year-old, right, or something like that, or somebody at the same age, and that you can see a super, obvious difference between those two. So it's tough for me to think about it in those terms. I'd probably have to be convinced about it, but the more I see of our sort of geriatric leadership that we have in Washington D.C. constantly now, I'm starting to lean that way.
Do a comparison between Biden, Mick Jagger, and Paul McCartney.
Oh no!
All pretty much the same age.
So clearly what the variable is, Joe Biden should have done a lot more drugs and drank more.
And done more tours.
Done more tours, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean that's I think it actually is a fair question.
It is a fair question.
There are some 90-something-year-olds who are with it. Mentally. Does that mean that we want them in office?
Right.
Necessarily? I mean, because when the drop-off happens, it happens pretty quick once you get, up into the, not extreme, but, 80s, 90s kind of age group. So I just thought it was an interesting question. And it was a conservative pundit who asked it very objectively, should there be a maximum if we allow a minimum constitutionally? Because by definition, that means that we're telling some people the only reason you cannot serve is because of your age.
Right.
But it's only on one side. Should it be on the other?
It is definitely a solid question, especially considering, the time at which, those numbers were considered.
Right.
You didn't have people really leading lives long enough to have mental decline.
35 was a ripe old age back in the 1700s.
Yeah, exactly. When you were 35, you had lived a life and you had experience, right? So they were like, okay, we want to make sure that our leaders are an elder. So then they said they set the minimum age at 35, and of course they didn't bother with the maximum age because if you lived long enough to die in office, essentially, you were still pretty cognitively with it. It was probably like cholera or something that killed you,
or a duel,
That could be it.
There's that too.
Kathy and I lived through
ball.
this a few years ago when her dad passed away, and he was 87, and I can say very confidently that he was sharp as a tack up until maybe the last 6 months or so. But physically, it was tough for him the last year and a half to 2 years. So I can see the mental aspect over here, the physical aspect. In Dad's case, there was a big difference there. He was sharp, but physically it was tough for him.
Yeah, because that's the hard thing right now when you ask that question is you have to look beyond the candidates right now.
Yeah.
Because remember, Trump and Biden are within a few years of each other in age. They're essentially the same age. They're the same generation. They were in high school at the same time. I mean, to put it that way, Biden's 3 years older or something like that. And so they're basically the same age. So, Trump's got a very different set of competencies that Biden clearly does not have anymore. So when you look at it and say, hey, cutoff is 80.
Right.
Because you look at Biden. But Trump would be, if he's elected, would be over 80 by the time he's out of office.
Right.
Like halfway through his term.
Right.
So, it's I think it is something we probably at some point have to consider. But then again, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, 50, 55 was old. I mean, now 50, 55, you're still bodybuilding.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, you're still getting advanced degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, you look different than you did back in the 60s.
You've only
and
been
70s.
retired from the NFL for like 5 years.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And you're still doing radio.
You're still
doing radio. Nicely. All right. The city of St. Louis says, you know what? We should talk about bringing back those red light cameras.
Thought we went through this already.
We did. But they say, but those rules don't necessarily apply to us. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
6:20. I'm actually going to give a little bit of I understand why they're grasping for straws here.
Sure.
I get that part.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the state Supreme Court's ruled, and they say, no, but it doesn't apply to us.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. I'll explain. Let's talk about that at 6:20 here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin God.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hello, my name's Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com. We're local and family owned. We buy houses in as-is condition direct from the seller. Last year, we bought over 75 houses, and the reason that matters to you, we're able to buy so many houses because we make such competitive offers. So if you're thinking about selling a house as is, please reach out. We're definitely interested in competing and providing you with the best offer and the best price. KLAMEN Group.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hogan Gidley, what happened to the team at America First Policy in the last 24 hours?
They deleted our account. They didn't even take the appeal.
What?
They deleted the account. Didn't say why. Didn't say it broke the rules of this, that, or the other.
Oh.
Have you ever noticed how those algorithm problems never hurt liberals?
Mm-hmm.
It's always us that get caught by those quote-unquote mistakes.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. Join me every weeknight for The Ben Shapiro Show. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, drivers in the city be cray-cray.
Yes, clearly.
Do kids still say cray-cray?
Not really.
Okay. Then we're moving on. So our red light camera is a viable solution because that's back in the discussion here.
Yeah, it's trying to solve a problem that we all recognize.
It's there.
But
Yep.
is this the right way to go about it?
Right. All right, still ahead here. Mitch is stepping aside.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that around 6:35. By the way, this whole thing with the pet names and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because it started because we ran a promo that I'd never heard before. And
about Commander.
It grabbed some news reports on Commander Biden biting like Secret Service guys. And I asked the question. I said, do you actually use your pets have a last name and stuff,
Or middle name, or anything, like a full name, basically.
I got an email from Martin. He says that they had a rescue dog come to them as a foster pet, and then they ended up keeping the dog. She had a broken leg that was in a cast. She had a patch over one eye, so the dog was named Peggy the Peg Leg Pirate. That's one of the best names I've ever heard for a dog.
Nice.
I just saying there.
Nice.
And Blues Nut on Rumble, he said that's the next stage of Joe Biden. He's going to yell, whisper, and he's going to start biting people. And so I replied back. I said, "Are you saying that Commander Biden has been a bad influence on Joe?" And I was corrected by Blues Night. He says, "No, it was the other way around."
Yeah, exactly. It's clearly
all right.
It's clearly the owner, not the
Let's
the
talk
pet.
about some news here. We should probably do that.
Oh,
Since
yeah,
we're a
yeah.
News talk station here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, St. Louis Board of Aldermen is debating a proposal to bring back red light cameras. Now, remember, the state Supreme Court's ruled that they are unconstitutional in the state.
Yeah.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, no, this doesn't apply to us because we've taken additional safety precautions, meaning that the reasoning for the ruling won't apply, which is insane to me.
Okay.
Okay, so first and foremost, the state Supreme Court ruling is the state Supreme Court ruling. Red light cameras have been ruled unconstitutional in the state of Missouri.
Right.
Now, here's what the aldermen are considering. Now, then there's a lot of debate. I don't want to say like City Hall is united. There are people in St. Louis City Hall who are saying, wait a minute, we've got a ruling on this. This isn't the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand why it's coming up, especially after the tragic situation where the mom and the daughter were killed on the 14th.
Sure.
That guy blew through 3 or 4 red light cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how crazy. I mean, seriously, when was the last time you saw somebody actually stop at a red light.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, I'm using hyperbole here, but
Yeah.
people go through red lights all the freaking time.
I see it at least 3 times a week.
And in the city, it's nuts.
Oh gosh, yeah. It was worse when we
like
had our station downtown.
It's a Wild West over there, traffic-wise. So I get that people are saying we've got to get a handle on this. So, as I will criticize them until the end of the day on all the crap they do wrong. I understand why they're reaching here.
Right.
I get it.
Sure.
But doing the wrong thing for the right reasons is still doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
So the Supreme Court said these are unconstitutional. What they're arguing now is they say, okay, but the proposal we have now says that if you cannot clearly see the driver's face and or you cannot clearly see the license plate, then we won't prosecute it. We won't send out the ticket. Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm not sure that's going to fly.
Okay, so let me tell a story. Like when I was on a different, not in St. Louis City, but in a different board of aldermen years ago, we had this red light camera traffic company, and that's where these things came from. Is these companies came up and said, we will give you the cameras. We will install the cameras for you.
Oh, yeah.
We will do all the maintenance. We will do all the monitoring. This will not cost you a penny. We just want a percentage of the tickets, which in this case was like 40 or 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So they had an incentive to catch as many people as possible.
Huge.
So now the town I was in was like 27,000 people, 20, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a big red light crash problem.
Sure.
And but that was their argument, is that, basically it was a revenue generating thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the board of aldermen, and I'm saying the questions about, okay, so why are you, what if we can't see who's driving? Somebody's borrowing a car, you're, the husband or the wife or whatever. And they're saying, well, you just make it a situation where if it's a red light camera ticket, then it doesn't go on points on your license.
Right.
So if a cop pulls you over for running a red light, you get points on your license and it dings you.
Yeah,
and it gets reported to your insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like in this case, you just send them the ticket and the fine. And then they only have problems if they don't pay the fine. But my problem was this, and this was a big part of the reasoning of the Supreme Court. And it was, I said, so we would have to rewrite our ordinances
mm-hmm.
to assume that you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
Right.
So you would have to contest yourself, contest the citation, providing evidence that you are innocent, as opposed to the city, in this case, proving that you're guilty.
Right.
And they were like, well, that's just semantics. No, it's not.
No.
It's not. I said our entire constitutional system is based on assumption of innocence until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the government.
Right. That's the whole enchilada right there.
Right. I said, so even if it's something as low level and minute as a red light traffic citation, I don't think any government should flip the law and say you are guilty until proven innocent, especially when there's a profit motive for a private company.
It's huge. That's a huge overturning of a social and political norm that's kind of required under our constitutional system.
Correct. Now, I lost the vote.
Mm-hmm.
The city that I was an alderman in ended up putting that red light camera in, and then guess what happened? They had to take it down after the Supreme Court.
It's like, I told you.
Right. And but that's what St. Louis City is looking at right now. And so they're saying, but technology is better. Essentially cameras are better if we can't clearly identify the driver. And they also said, we're not going to use AI. We're not going to use facial recognition technology. It's just got to be a very clear thing. And the police chief, Robert Tracy, he did make an interesting point.
Okay.
He said, aside from all of that, the red light cameras, he believes, are enough to start changing behavior and making people more careful if there's even a threat of getting a ticket. Let's assume that's true, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume that if you see the warning sign red light camera in operation, you see the camera and you go, crap, I guess I actually have to stop. Even if that ticket is unenforceable, they're saying, well, it'll stop that. But here's the thing. What else are you going to argue that is against the law,
mm-hmm.
unconstitutional, to say, but I have a good reason to do it. What
Right.
kind of Pandora's box do you want to open up for that?
That's a huge Pandora's box because now the only criteria that you have to consider when you're making laws and you're implementing technology and doing all these things is does it help alleviate the situation that I think it will, or in my view,
Right.
will it help alleviate the situation? Are my intentions good?
Do I mean well?
Do I mean well?
And here's the thing is, in St. Louis City Hall, there are people so far to the left that they truly believe they mean well when they violate people's rights.
Yes, on a regular basis.
Constantly. There are people who think they mean well when they impose extreme ideologies on the people there. In their feeble left-wing infected minds, they can make an argument that they mean well. Meaning well doesn't mean squat when it comes to passing laws and doing legislation. It is first and foremost constitutional or not. It is secondly legal or not. Then it is ethical or not. Then we can get in, is it effective or not? And then after that, is it a good return on investment and efficient or not? Those are the layers you look at.
Right.
Red light cameras are none of those.
No, it doesn't meet any of the criteria. At best, it meets the I meant well. But that's at the bottom. That's
Right.
at the bottom of the consideration tree there.
That's because you get to the bottom of that, and I've heard this countless times when I was a reporter and covering City Hall, where there would be somebody who, knowing that there were reporters there, say, well, if it just saves one child's life.
Gosh.
And they're talking about some $240,000 gadget or proposal or purchase. Well, if it just saves one life. Okay, well, first of all, that's logically not, going to, okay, well, by that logic, then if it's, a $10 million project, well, if it just saves one life, can we put a price on a life? There are other ways to do that. And somebody may
if we
say,
ban automobile traffic.
yeah, you won't have any crashes.
Yeah.
If it just saves one life. Precisely.
Yeah.
But in this case, somebody can say, well, fine, Mike, what's your solution then if you don't think red light cameras are going to do it? Because I'm acknowledging that it might change some behavior.
Maybe.
It maybe might make a few people go, I really don't want a ticket, or I really don't want documentation that I'm here when I'm doing my drug deal, or whatever the case is. So the solution is stop defunding your law enforcement and increase traffic patrols.
Yeah.
Okay. So those things are related.
Yes. When you impose a law and order system on society, you are fostering a lawful populace. Does that make sense?
Right.
So you're creating a system where people are duly and properly afraid of breaking any law, even minor ones.
Yep.
If you look at some of these cultures overseas where they punish you by like caning for
Singapore.
for littering and things like that, those streets are freaking clean.
Again, I don't think the ends justify the means.
I'm just saying.
Just to be clear.
Just to be clear, I'm not supporting the idea of adding caning to our law books about. But the idea is that if you establish these laws, if you create a system that says, hey, a punishment is going to come if I do something wrong, you actually foster a society that you can actually be very very safe in.
And a good way to do that in this case is, what? If I roll through this traffic stop, I'm going to see some red and blues behind me. There's at least a good chance of it.
You'd think rolling through and possibly dying by getting T-boned would prevent people from doing these things, but
there's that. Right now, of course, the other part is, my insurance is going. I think that scares people more than the ticket.
True.
All right, 314-912-1019. All right, as expected, looks like the Congress critters have come up with a deal to kick the can down the road, but not as far as I thought they were going to. They're just sort of nudging it. Just nudging it a little bit down the road. And then Mitch McConnell says he's stepping aside. Let's talk about that. A little political update for you around 6:36.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon up to about 53 today, close to normal for leap day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Darrell Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Even we don't know what he's going to do next.
My name is ivermectin hydroxychloroquine. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Vic Porcelli.
Good morning, trucker.
I'm monoclonal antibodies.
Yes. Live and local weekday mornings at 9.
We call him Mo.
On News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Maddie just made a real good point on that red light camera thing, guys.
Yeah, what's that?
Just real quick before we move on to the other stuff. He goes, yeah, great idea. I can get my car stolen, then get 4 or 5 red light tickets.
Wow.
Yep, that's it. Nail, hammer on the head.
Mm-hmm.
That's
wow.
right.
That's
Matter of
it.
fact, one of our good friends had her car stolen a couple weeks ago.
Really? Who's that?
One of Rachel and I's friends.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, I you've met her.
Okay.
Because you were at some of the parties.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was at a coffee shop in Lafayette Square and had her purse with her and underneath her chair, and somebody swiped it when she looked the wrong direction, and then the car was going. They found it.
Wow.
It was totaled. It was trashed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But, and, of course, providentially, my wife was going out of town on one of her, 9 or 10 day trips. And so she's like, use our car or her car, my wife's car.
Right.
And so we were able to help her out, during that. Just the timing worked out. And then she told me that here's the bad part. Rachel said, man, did you hear about this person's car? And she goes, it was stolen. And, of course, she comes over and picks up the keys, and she was having the adrenaline dump because she was just violated.
Right.
And the thing is that I said, well, where were you? And she goes, I was at this particular coffee shop in Lafayette Square. And my thinking, St. Louis City.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't even surprised anymore.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
As someone who lived in South City for decades and spent a ton of time in Lafayette Square, that hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. But were you surprised when I said that?
No,
honestly?
not at all.
Yeah, precisely. All right, it is 6:38 here. By the way, we've got a variety of streaming options for you, and that, of course, is the app that's free that you can find anywhere, any app store. And then, of course, when you get to work, you can obviously just go to newstalkstl.com, plug in, stick your headphones in, and listen to us and Vic and Dan Bongino and Chris and Tim and then or Katie and Columbo, then Chris and Tim, and then Larry, and then Rob, and stay with us. If you stay at work until 10 o'clock at night, you can just keep listening to us. All right. Okay. Real quick before we get to the spending thing, Mitch McConnell announces that he is stepping down as the leader of the Senate Republicans.
Father Time remains undefeated.
I'm no longer the young man sitting in the back, hoping colleagues would remember my name. It's time for the next generation of leadership.
Okay, this is what we've been wanting.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gotten to the point where even other Republicans publicly are saying, Mitch, time to go. We've had health things with him to the point where he would freeze up for 45 seconds at a time, literally, like a glitch in the matrix. We know something's, short-circuiting up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be in office until like 2027. I think his seat's up in 2026. And so January 2027 is when the next term starts. There's no indication he's going to run for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when you step down as the leader of your party, there's really nowhere to go.
Right.
From that point.
And based on his remarks, he seems to be suggesting he's stepping back from politics altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
right.
Father Time is undefeated. Okay, see, that's a big flag that says I'm bowing out of everything.
Plus, he lost a close relative.
Oh, did he?
A couple months ago.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sister-in-law, I believe, his wife's sister died in a car accident.
I did
drowned in a car accident.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that. So the question then becomes, who becomes the new Republican leader?
Yeah.
Because Mitch McConnell was not always this frustrating to us.
Mm-hmm.
You go back years. Even Grover Norquist put up on social media, he said, remember, the campaign finance reform stuff, which would have basically put union bosses in charge of everything and kept businesses out of the discussion. And, and he said McConnell stopped that
right
way back when. When it comes to, ushering through, as you mentioned, Stell, judicial picks, there were things that McConnell has done over the years in his career that were very, very good. But the last several years, he's just become part of the establishment, which is what happens when somebody's in there too long. So few people leave unscathed without getting sucked into that. And McConnell got sucked into it. It's beyond time for him to go. I'm glad he's going. But the bigger, more important question is who's going to replace him in that leadership spot?
I don't know. We'll see. But if I can use a sports analogy here, MAGA and Trump just scored a hat trick because McCarthy's out, McDaniel's out, and
McConnell's
on
out. The way out. Yeah,
all the Macs are out.
Yeah. I was gonna say
the Macs.
I was gonna say the end of the Republican party
Apparently, they
is
have
is
something
gone.
against Celtic people of Celtic descent.
The Republican McParty.
McParty.
Yeah.
But I mean, so Senator Thune is the some people say Thune. He's the next in line. We'll have a debate on him. We'll debate on that, at some point here. But McConnell is staying in the position until after November. So he's going to get through the elections, then step down and just be a senator for the rest of his term.
And really, from my perspective, he and Trump and MAGA have been at loggerheads.
Yeah.
For the last few years. So I'm not shocked that this happened,
So
to be honest with you.
Wondering if that weighed into the calculation there.
I think that was part of it. It's like, you know what? I'm gone. I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's also a chance that a doctor or family said, Mitch.
Well, yes,
you've had these episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so who knows? I don't want to speculate, but the reality is he's well into his 80s. He's physically struggling.
Again, the opening of that comment, the Father Time is undefeated. I'm pretty sure he's aware that that's part of the. He's trying to make us aware that was. Maybe the main concern in his decision.
Because we kind of forgot about those freeze-ups
that
he had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. The health issue probably weighed in on it, too.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Okay, as expected, this is why I don't get my hopes up when they talk about a looming partial government shutdown, because they listen to this ridiculous thing they've come to, because the headlines are like, bipartisan negotiators announced Wednesday they have struck a deal to avert a partial government shutdown this week. Okay, they literally have made a deal to continue the current spending until March 8th for part of it. So literally 1 week. Literally 1 week.
What?
And then another part of the deal extends other federal spending through March 22nd. I mean, so
Oh my gosh.
this isn't even kicking the can down the road. This is accidentally bumping it off the side of your foot.
This is what you get when Rosalita Dumbutt Ferguson
Yes.
knocks the thing on the floor just a little bit.
Right.
She's her little mouse toy or whatever.
Yes, that's right.
I think
She does love her mouse toy.
But Butthead, isn't it? Is it
Yeah,
Butthead?
it's Rosalita Butthead Ferguson.
Butthead. Sorry, I
Yeah.
said Dumbutt. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah,
It's
Rosalita.
Butthead.
Yeah, the cat's full name is Rosalita Butthead Ferguson. That's when she knows she's in trouble.
Yeah.
And so in this case, Speaker Johnson and Chuck Schumer, basically what they're doing is, all right, we're going to keep this going for, in one case, a week, in another case, 3 weeks, in order to try to come up with another deal. So nothing changes at the southern border. Nothing changes with anything else. They just agreed to open the vending machine a little bit longer to keep the same amount of money flowing. And so for a week. So if anybody says, see, they came to a solution. No, they didn't. This is more of the same.
It's not a solution.
So what's going to happen is they're going to come with some kind of deal, because I have a feeling both Republicans and Democrats, they actually don't want to use this for the campaign. They don't want this to be a campaign issue on either side, because both sides suck.
That's why it's a uniparty.
Yeah.
And that's also why, in this case, these are, as they call them, minibuses. Instead of being an omnibus.
Right.
This is a minibus.
Minibus.
So when you see the headlines, and you're going to hear the headlines, probably including on the station, bipartisan negotiations come up. No, the fine print is it's literally for 7 days or 8 days.
Minibus.
Literally.
More like the short bus.
Maybe even a cart.
Yeah. Goodness.
Oh, goodness. So the idea that, in these, the Republicans holding strong is like, we're going to get spending cuts. We're going to get the border secured. Well, they've got a couple of days to come up with that for another vote, because this deal runs out in a week. And they ain't going to do it.
No, they're not. We're going to get another, kick the can down the road. They might actually get a wind-up on the next kick, I think. And like you suggested before, that they'll probably kick it past the election.
I think that's what they're probably going to try to set up for, because here we are coming into March. You've got, primary elections between now and August around the country. I mean, Illinois is in March. Actually, Illinois is going on right now because early voting's open. You can vote in the Illinois primary if you're registered there right now, or you've been dead for at least 5 or 6 years. But then again, if you've been dead for 5 or 6 years, you probably already voted.
You've voted several times as Democrat,
in the primary.
yeah.
And then up to like Missouri is one of the later primaries on the in August.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they want this off the table. The Democrats do not want their refusal to actually secure the border to be the issue, because that's what the budget thing is all about. Because the reality is most people are not wonky enough to follow what the actual budget is. We find the things here and there that are affected by it, and those are the issues. And right now, the number one issue, poll after poll after poll, says left-leaning polls, right-leaning polls. They all say the same thing. Illegal immigration is the top issue, and more people, including center left, are saying we're done. You've got to do this. You've got to secure the border. So the Democrats don't want this driving the discussion at all.
I'm not sure they're going to be able to forestall it, though, because it's a rising issue. And so long as we have this constant influx of people come through on the southern border, and I think the strategy of governors, like DeSantis and Texas Abbott are continuing to make this a Democrat sanctuary city problem, as it should be. They're being, led by the nose into the right position now.
Yeah.
And I think that it's been so effective, and that may very well turn the election.
Yeah. So don't get excited about a potential government shutdown, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the headlines
tease.
are a government shutdown is looming. And I'm like, thank you. And once again, we're going to sit here and go, okay, boy who cried wolf. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Whatever. And what's the worst case scenario? There is a partial government shutdown.
Almost got you.
At this point, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think it was the boy who cried wolf. It's the boy who cried, hey, cute puppy. Because that's how I feel about government shutdowns. It's like, oh, you're going to give me a cute puppy? He's like, no, we're not.
No. Maybe next week.
You jerks.
Maybe next week. Maybe the week after that. Okay, we'll do it later on. All right, 314-912-1019. Now let's dump some news on you just ahead here. And at 7 o'clock, 7:05 actually, the one Let's talk about the Missouri legislature not getting much of anything done, which is what we kind of knew we were getting into. And secondly, religious freedom. It's not just about government. It's also about protecting people from the intimidation and violence who want to shut down what you have to say. I'm really curious about this conversation. Darrell Jones from the Herzog Foundation is going to be with us.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser-guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything, of course. It's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value, delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
Question: do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight, but right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
There's something wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong with our eyes. We're seeing things in a different way. And God knows it ain't his. It sure ain't no surprise.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, another ruling to kick Trump off the ballot. This time it's right here in the St. Louis News Talk STL area, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then, of course, will red light cameras make a comeback to the city? And the Blues are on another streak.
Okay.
Not good.
Oh, it's a not good streak.
Not good streak.
Dang
All right,
it.
6:53 right now.
Come
All
on,
right,
Blues.
here we go again.
Okay.
All right, a Cook County judge orders election officials to remove Donald Trump from the Illinois primary ballot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Tracy Porter did put a 2-day pause on her own order to allow for an appeal which I am sure is being put in today.
Oh, sure.
The ruling uses the same reasoning as Colorado's and Maine's efforts to keep Trump off of their ballots. They are talking about the 14th Amendment in relation to January 6th.
Of course.
Now, remember, last month, this issue came up before the Illinois State Board of Elections, which is made up of 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. They voted unanimously to keep Trump on the ballot and rejected those 14th Amendment claims. Now, keep in mind, Illinois' primary election is March 19th.
That's right around the corner.
Yeah, less than 3 weeks from today.
Yeah.
And this is when the ruling comes in. Now, all of these cases are going to be decided by default by a ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court, which is considering the Colorado case. So while there will be an appeal with the Illinois case, the argument is basically you shouldn't be throwing him off, one, on the merits of the case, but you shouldn't be throwing off because the Supreme Court's about to rule on it. And when they rule on the Colorado case, that affects everything else.
Right.
There's not much else there's just not much else to discuss. I mean, on it at this point. I mean, it's ridiculous. You do not have to be a Trump supporter to see this for what it is.
Well, obviously, and the 4 Democrats on that election board who ruled unanimously to keep him on the ballot, they saw the writing on the wall on that one as well. I don't know what this Judge Tracy Porter was thinking.
Oh, I think we do.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, we do, but I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, here's the weird part is that early voting in the primary is already happening.
Right. Yeah, the ballots are what they are, aren't they?
Right. So the ballots are printed. I mean, those things are printed and prepared weeks or months in advance. So what does this judge think is going to happen to all the people who've already voted?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't. I don't think there's enough time logistically to take all of the ballots back and retool them and then send them back out again.
No, there's not. So this, we just have to wait for the Supreme Court to decide on this. All right, Hunter Biden. Remember that guy? He used to be in the headlines a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He was deposed in a closed-door meeting in Washington, D.C. with some federal lawmakers. Congressional Republicans continue their impeachment inquiry against President Biden, and that's why they were talking to Hunter Biden. Oversight Committee Chairman Congressman James Comer was on Hannity last night. He says, that deposition did not go well for Hunter and did go well for the investigators.
We were able to confirm a lot of the wrongdoings through Hunter Biden's testimony. There are many financial crimes that we believe were committed by the Biden family.
And, of course, Comer says they may hold a public hearing due to the evidence that they have gained from this deposition.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Do you think Commander ever bit Hunter?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering.
Did you see the Babylon? Did you see the Babylon Bee thing?
No.
Because you know that last week over the weekend there was a threat in some kind of white powder sent to Donald Trump Jr.'s house.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
Generally don't try to talk about those things because you don't want to risk copycat stuff. The Babylon Bee had a headline that said, Hunter Biden jealous that white powder was sent to Donald Trump Jr.'s house.
Well played.
The bee undefeated again. All right. Despite the Missouri Supreme Court's clear ruling the red light cameras are unconstitutional, the St. Louis Board of Aldermen considering a bill to have them installed at some intersections in the city. Still plenty of debate over that. There's not I don't want to give the impression that they're all in on it. There's a lot of debate that's happening there.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I got time for a couple sports notes here. Redbirds lost Wednesday's spring training game to the Mets. Final score 3-0. This afternoon, the Cards host the Nationals at Roger Dean Stadium. That's at 12:05. Kyle Gibson gets the start today. Game is going to be on Bally Sports Midwest if you want to check that out. Blues are now officially on a losing streak.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they're very streaky. Win streaks, lose streaks. They can't lose, and then they have rough tumbles. Last night, they ended up on the wrong end of a 3-2 overtime loss in Edmonton.
Heartbreaker.
That one stings. That is their third loss in a row. They've dropped 5 of their last 6 games. They've got a travel day today as the Blues head back home for a Saturday game against Minnesota. So kind of a rough travel schedule now for the Blues right now.
Around.
All right, let's talk school choice, and let's also talk religious freedom. You're going to be shocked at how many violent attacks there are against people of faith right now in this country.
Are you a Republican voter in St. Louis City? This Saturday, March 2nd, grab your Republican friends and make a national impact by voting for a slate of delegates at the presidential primary caucus right here in the city we call home. It's open to all registered Republicans. It's free and it is important. Doors open 9 a.m. at the St. James Center at 1360 Tam Avenue in the gym. Contact us at stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
My name is Todd Showalter, and I'm announcing the Right Mind Show is officially running Saturday nights at 5. I'll now open the floor for questions.
Is the Right Mind Show funny at all?
No comment. Next question. Yeah, you, different reporter with the same voice.
Your co-host is very cute.
Not a question. I've got time for one more.
Do you do any impressions on the Right Mind Show?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Joe Biden getting out of bed.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. April 22nd, the date the Supreme Court will hear arguments in the Trump election interference case. The High Court will decide whether former President Trump can be prosecuted for actions taken while he was in office. An Illinois county judge has ruled Mr. Trump off the state's primary ballot. The decision, though, is on hold till tomorrow pending an appeal. The Supreme Court recently heard an appeal of a similar court ruling out of Colorado. The southern border crisis taking center stage later today as former President Trump visits the besieged border town of Eagle Pass, Texas. President Biden will be going to Brownsville, Texas. As fighting continues in the war to defeat Hamas terrorists, Salem Radio Network talk host Mike Gallagher broadcasting from Israel this week, interviewing victims and their families while he raises funds for emergency relief supplies through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Yael Eckstein, CEO of the fellowship, says the funds raised will go directly to the neediest people.
We look to the scriptures of where we should be investing with. And it says, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the poor. It says, nachamu, nachamu ami, comfort, comfort my people, be the watchman on the walls. And so those are the areas where the fellowship, on behalf of millions of Christians around the world, that's where we are planting the seed. We focus on the orphans and the widows.
Listeners wishing to support Mike Gallagher's campaign to help the nonprofit International Fellowship of Christians and Jews can access a link on the website mikeonline.com. Wall Street futures are lower ahead of this morning's release of the government's latest inflation report, an inflation barometer that's closely watched by the Federal Reserve as it considers the future course of interest rates. Right now, the Dow futures are down 123 points, NASDAQ futures 49 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
This is Dennis Prager, and now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get together for Pragertopia Plus members only. For an hour each month, get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. I'll be answering your questions. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon, up to about 53 today, close to normal for leap day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Religious freedom, not just a matter of keeping government out of the way. Because we think of religious freedom, we think of government overreaching and violating our rights and things like that. It also means that you're not allowed to use violence or force to stop somebody else from peacefully living in their faith or expressing their faith. You just can't do that. You would be shocked at how often that's actually happening, though.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. Don't forget News Talk STL. We are all over you call it social media. We're there for the most part. There are a couple that we don't want to bother with, but you know what? Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble for sure. If you're not on Rumble, man, where you at?
Yeah, seriously.
You need to be on Rumble. We are back on YouTube.
Yeah, the station is back on YouTube.
For the moment. They've thrown us off twice. I'm sure it'll happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get too used to YouTube. But all the others, we're streaming and posting updates on there. So please check us out there as well. It is 7:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Now joined by Darrell Jones from the Herzog Foundation. Darrell, I want to get to this these attacks on religious institutions, a lot of churches in particular, in just a couple of minutes. But when it comes to education, which is obviously what you all specialize in, we're heading up to the halfway point in the Missouri legislature. We were kind of hoping to see kind of a more robust, education freedom for students. Obviously, you all can show parents how to take advantage of what's out there right now with some of the scholarships and all that sort of thing. We're not seeing a lot of activity right now. Are you still holding out hope that there could be more allowances for school choice, which obviously would help, among many others, Christian families with Christian education or homeschooling?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, until the 11th hour, until it's all said and done,
we are holding out hope. I mean, things have happened in past legislatures with, in the 11th hour, and we're certainly hopeful that, just looking on either side of the state, to the south of us, what's going on in Arkansas with sweeping legislation, Iowa to the north of us, the exact same thing, sweeping legislation that's really helping families have options for the education of their kids. We're hopeful that the majority in the House and Senate and the governor will all come together and advance options for families for education. So that's and then once legislation is passed, whatever it is, including what's going on right now with the Most Scholars program, the Herzog Foundation is here to help families be able to access it, but really to be able to help families move their children into an education environment that is robust academically, but also embraces the faith and the values of the family.
Okay,
so that's what our foundation's all about.
All right, let me ask you about something else, and this was in the Lion, readlion.com.
Right.
And a lot of times I just mentioned we think of religious freedom issues as government overreach, and they are. That's I would still argue the biggest, most important ones. There are new reports coming out. I know the Family Research Council had one, and there's some others showing that there is a shocking number of violent attacks against religious or faith-based or in some cases just pro-life organizations. I know Catholic churches are taking the brunt of a lot of these as well, but we're not talking about government attacking. We're talking about others physically attacking. And actually on this weekend's American Viewpoints, my syndicated show, I've actually got a conversation about this very thing with our friends at First Liberty Institute.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah. And so here's what surprised me, Darrell, is that we knew that there was an uptick after the Dobbs decision against pro-life centers, and a lot of, Catholic, the Catholic Church in particular is among the most vocal regarding life issues.
Sure.
But the spike in the violence hasn't gone away, and it's only gone up. There were more violent attacks last year than there were in 2022. What do we make of this?
Well, we are more and more a violent society, and we can blame the tools of violence, but at the end of the day, there's just a heart problem with our society, and we're seeing it. And anybody who seeks to infringe on my preferences has to be stopped at all cost. To the degree of violence. And you're exactly right. I mean, the Catholic Church has been attacked 400 times since 2020. I mean, this is trackable data where swastikas are being painted on buildings, where, statues of Christ or of the Virgin Mary are being beheaded. Churches are being burned, satanic and blasphemous statements graffitied on walls, windows smashed, Mass is disrupted, and even the murder of, certainly a Catholic priest. What's troubling is not simply that, there is a good and evil divide spiritually, in the world. What's interesting is that our legal system is not pushing for justice. That's what's been as troubling as the violence. I mean, violence is horrible. The reality is that the church has been under violence since Christ. They nailed him to a cross, for crying out loud. All of the disciples, by tradition, were martyred. I think Christians have understood that we're a part of a spiritual battle, no question. But what's interesting is that in America, the justice system is not standing for justice. That's what's as troubling as the violent attacks, is the lack of really prosecution or even going after perpetrators of violence.
Morning, Darrell. Gabe Pfeiffer here. That's actually where I was going to go with this. Pardon me. Is that the lack of action by our law enforcement at all levels, and even by various levels of our governing authorities seems to be and here's how I take it, and tell me what you think. I kind of take it as a tacit endorsement of those sort of methods. What do you think?
Well, I would agree. I mean, when 25% of perpetrators have been pursued, at least 75% where nobody's even approaching what is going on. I mean, there was a day in America where, Lady Liberty and Miss Justice was blind, and the scales were not, looking at who was, who was perpetrating, but we're just trying to seek justice. And now it appears that's not the case at all, and that is what is so troubling to me in America today. Is the two-tiered justice system. It depends on who you are, whether or not we pursue the breaking of law, and that's very concerning.
We are visiting with Darrell Jones from the Herzog Foundation. Let me switch gears a little bit. We talk a lot about K through 12 public education and the indoctrination, and let's call it what it is, perversion that so many of them are pushing so hard on kids. We know the craziness at the institutions of higher learning as well. In Missouri, so not that far from here. Now it's more of the Kansas City area, but still in Missouri, there is a college there, William Jewell, that is in concept and theory run by the Baptist, and I was reared Baptist. Right. They have fallen into this, and I found this on the Lion as well. Elizabeth sent this over to me. A student organization is having a big drag show, workshop, and they spell work real funny. And so they're doing a show and teaching people how to do the sexualization stuff. But this is actually connected to the weirdos out in California that, speaking of attacks on Catholic churches, are involved with that. What on earth is happening at in theory, Baptist college in Missouri?
Well, I'll tell you, there are so many different stories at play just in what you've just said. I mean, there are so many different layers to this. But realistically, every family, every set of parents needs to look at who is raising and laying the foundation for our children. And I would say, first and foremost, parents need to take back the authority of monitoring who is laying the foundation of values for the family. Because I would say, as a retired pastor of 35 years, the Christian church in the West is having some sort of identity crisis where it's trying to figure out who it is. But we have a 2,000-year, tradition of who we are. But here you're seeing William Jewell, which I would tell you, 30 years ago was a bastion of conservative, faith-filled thought. I mean, I know so many graduates from William Jewell, which at that time was heavily linked with the Southern Baptist organization. Interesting, the story that we wrote at the article came to us through alumni who are absolutely livid at what has happened to their college. And I mean, I think you're seeing, if you were to dive deep and look under the hood at William Jewell, and not just William Jewell, but other schools that were founded in faith that appear to have lost their way, are struggling, not simply financially, but they're also struggling, with attendance, with enrollment. This is not what parents had signed off on. But I would say it's just imperative in this day that parents are involved in what's going on with laying the foundation and the values for their children. And you can't trust institutions, even if they're long-held institutions, because things change.
Darrell, I believe the Herzog Foundation has some great resources for parents who want to control the education of their kids, K through 12. But do you have any resources for people whose kids are about to graduate? When do you send them to college so they don't end up in a school that has a drag workshop like what's going on over there?
So you don't send Susie there and come back. I'm non-binary.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck? I know it. We don't. Okay, so our focus is K through 12.
Okay.
But here's what I would say as a retired pastor and as a father of 3 grown daughters. I think, as the kids are in high school and we're really, looking at what is their next step and is college the best answer for them, begin talking and begin searching what is out there, and talk to your faith leaders. Look at folks that you appreciate who they are that are, that next tier of young adults, and find out, where is the place that they were educated? Where would they stand behind this school? Talk to graduates from, recent graduates from school, and ask, has this helped you, be salt and light in the world? Has it helped prepare you to live in a pluralistic society, or has it been detrimental to your faith? Again, I think you begin asking questions and not just exporting, students to, where everybody's going. I think, parents becoming more involved. And, I will certainly say that young adults today who are raising families, I have been amazed at how involved they really are in the whole of the life of their kids. That is very encouraging in society today, that so often so many parents are really, really taking control and the reins of, hey, these are our children, and we're going to be invested and involved in their lives. And honestly, that's why you're seeing so much sweeping change in education legislation across the country and states, because citizens are rising up and not content with the status quo.
All right, Darrell Jones from the Herzog Foundation. ReadLion.com, by the way, is the news publication that you can find. I am subscribed to the newsletter. I think everybody should do that as well. And then, Darrell, people want to get in touch and find out the resources that you have available for anybody who wants to look at, starting a school or homeschooling or anything like that. What's the way to be in touch?
Well, that is exactly what we're about. We're here to help families, and we have a number of resources. All of our resources are free, whether you're involved in a Christian school or you'd like to start a Christian school or homeschool movement. How do we get involved in that? How do we start a co-op? These are the things the Herzog Foundation is all about, and you can find out about everything that we produce at herzogfoundation.com.
All right, great talking to you again, Darrell. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Have a great week.
Thanks, Darrell.
All right, 314-912-1019, just ahead here, right around 7:22. We're going to have a few minutes to talk about this. The Supreme Court actually takes up Donald Trump's appeal and claim for complete criminal immunity. Interesting, because this changes the dynamics on Jack Smith's criminal case against him, the federal case, but it also necessarily puts before us all a much bigger, massive picture question that we've got to answer. So you know what? Let's stir stuff up a little bit. Right around 7:22 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What are you waiting for? Get up.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones, for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners' experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
All right, let's see here. You want to kick the hornet's nest here on Conservative Talk Radio?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, let's talk about Leap Day.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. It's not a secret that all of us who do this, we've got these services we subscribe to, and some of the really, really goofy, funny stuff I find is a service that kind of specializes in that sort. I looked on there today. Everything was about Leap Day.
Oh, yeah?
Everything.
Yes. Right, because today is Leap Day.
Now, the only thing that I really found interesting, so I don't have a bunch of Leap Day stuff. It's like, okay, it's here. It's on the calendar. There's the thing is like, oh, there are people who were born on the 29th and they're 40, but they've only had 10 births.
Right, yeah.
Okay, whatever. If we did not have Leap Day, over the course of, I think it was like 500 years or something like that, literally our seasons would be inverted because of the way that the calendar we would have, our summertime, December would be summertime.
Yeah.
And June and July would be wintertime because it would shift that much if we did not have the Leap Day in there, which kind of blew me away.
It's kind of wild, what would happen there.
But the Earth is flat. Why would it?
Oh, man. Oh, don't get me started. One of those came across my dang Instagram feed last night, and I went to bed mad.
Now, I mean, okay, do those people really believe that?
Yes.
They're not just trolls or comedians.
They are not trolls. They are not comedians. We're talking like a real movement of people, and it's a growing freaking movement of people who believe that the government has lied to us about the entire space program and science and everything.
You can literally get into an airplane and see the curvature of the Earth.
Don't crowd the whole conversation with facts, Mike.
Oh, jeez. All right, if you're a flat Earth person, I am so glad that you're listening, but you're wrong. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and kick the hornet's nest here. We got just a few minutes here. By the way, our friend Susie Moore going to be with us at 7:35. Illinois judge rules that Donald Trump should be kicked off the Illinois primary ballot.
Yeah.
So here we go. And now this is even more complicated because their primary election is in less than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're going to get Susie's take on that.
Here's another one.
Okay, so, all right, 314-912-1019. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear Donald Trump's immunity claim. So this is the Jack Smith special prosecutor case.
Right.
Okay. So what this does immediately is push back the trial, the federal criminal charges against Donald Trump, because the arguments are set for Donald Trump's basically basis for his appeal that the case should be dismissed. The arguments for that are going to be in late April, which means that the actual trial, unless the Supreme Court tosses the case, is likely to happen at or maybe even after the election. So this complicates things in that particular case in a huge way, and then obviously could affect, some other cases, Mar-a-Lago, Georgia, things like that as well. Okay, so here's what the Supreme Court has agreed to here, which surprises me a little bit because just a week or two ago, the Trump team, after having the ruling against them at the federal appeals court, said they were not going to appeal the immunity claim to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court's taking it up.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a surprise for me. So here's let me just kind of lay the foundation for this. Donald Trump is arguing that he should have, and I think everybody knows this, but just to kind of lay the foundation, is that when you're president, when you're elected president, you're in office, it doesn't matter what you do, you should have complete immunity from any prosecution. And he's even on a True Social, he's actually said, even if you do something illegal, even if you do something questionable, he's even said if you have like people assassinated, so that's his argument, is that the president must have complete immunity. Otherwise he cannot make the decisions for fear of, retribution or politically motivated. Okay. That kind of thing. There is a legal accepted doctrine that presidents are immune from civil liability.
Right.
You want to sue the president for something he does in office? Ain't happening.
Right.
It does not happen at all.
Right. You can't sue him for slander or something like that if he says something you don't like from the bully pulpit of the presidency.
Right. Or that an executive order you think violates something. You can sue a department of whatever.
Sure.
But as far as like suing the president and demanding, a judgment from the actual office holder person, no, we don't allow that to happen in this country.
Right. Like conceivably, you can't sue Joe Biden, or the Riley family can't sue Joe Biden for his bad policies that led to the death of their daughter.
Precisely.
Even though in our minds, there's a direct connection there.
Right.
But you can't civilly go after him for that.
Okay. So, because we just got a couple minutes here.
Sorry.
But here's the thing is, I'm going to put this out there. We're now talking about presidential immunity from criminal prosecution because Donald Trump is making that argument, making that legal argument. We've only been talking about this 3 or 4 months because that's when he started making the argument. I want to do the flip test and challenge our side.
Mm-hmm.
If Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or Joe Biden initiated the conversation saying, no matter what I do in office, no matter what a future president does in office, nobody should be allowed to prosecute us criminally for criminal behavior. Even if I commit crimes, I shouldn't be prosecuted for it if it was while in office. I think conservatives and I think the others on the right, I think those, who are supporting the MAGA movement would lose their collective minds if that conversation were initiated from the other side. So why should we consider Donald Trump's argument that, and he said it himself, even if he commits crimes, he should not be allowed to be prosecuted because it's, in his mind, protecting the office of president from retribution and worried about consequences outside of office?
That's a really good question, especially if you consider, let's say, like the Clinton case,
right?
Very specifically. He lied under oath, and he was found guilty of having done that, and then he was censured because of that. Now, okay, so here's the I guess maybe the one question that I have about it is, isn't the body that's supposed to rule over the president essentially the legislature through the impeachment process?
That's the checks and the balances.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it rules over it. I think that's the checks on the power
in terms of legal violations and things like that.
Right.
Because the thing is, when the
Supreme Court,
because the impeachment is for high crimes and misdemeanors, right? So the thing is, if the president commits a crime, you're supposed to impeach them over the crime. First, right? That's what's supposed to first happen, and then after that, maybe you can do criminally once they're out of office, kind of thing. So then is that, would this precedent overturn that, or is this saying that you can't go outside of the constitutional impeachment system to do this? Like, I'm wondering what.
See, I never thought of that angle. I never thought of it that way. That's true. I mean, because we do have a checks and balances to remove somebody from office, but the Congress can't obviously prosecute him,
right?
For that, but they can. That's what they're empowered to do, and it just bugs me that this is the argument being made, because I think too many people are caught up with the people involved right now and thinking about the actual constitutional foundations.
Right.
Now, if somebody wants to pass a law saying that there's, criminal immunity for any one person, and what we're talking about is the argument that if somebody's elected president, that while they are president, they are above the criminal law.
That's a huge
and immune from.
That's a huge ask.
I don't care if it's somebody I like. I don't want that. I don't want that from a Democrat. I don't want it for a Republican. I don't want that. It just bothers me, that would be something that people are fighting for right now.
It sounds like electing a king.
Yeah.
Like in the old style king.
Right.
What I do is law.
Yeah.
And therefore it can't be illegal. And that's way far away from the republic style that our Constitution set up.
Yeah, so the flip test thing just kind of came to me this morning. I'm thinking, what if Barack Obama had made this argument?
Right.
Would we have the same conversation? We probably would, but everybody would be flipped,
yeah,
and they would be arguing the different thing. And I think that's just an honest gut check, for all of us. And I think we're letting our partisanship and tribalism get in the way of objectively looking at what's being argued here. Now, I'm not saying to vote one way or the other on that. I'm saying it's much bigger than any one election on this.
Now, the one thing I will say that makes this seem different to me is just what I know about Donald Trump's style of dealing with things, and he has that art of the deal style of dealing with things. You ask for the moon. And then when they strike that down, it's like, okay, well, everything else seems very, very reasonable after that.
Try to get something in the middle, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. If you ask for complete and absolute immunity, it's like, that's crazy talk. What are you talking about? It's like, well, all right, then let's talk about the merits of this. And does this make any sense? Well, of course not. That's no big deal. Go about your business.
Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know.
It seems to be his tactic since the 80s as I have observed it.
This is going to be really interesting to see what the Supreme Court does on this. I'm not convinced. I could be surprised, and I'm willing to be wrong.
They're going to rule against him.
I don't think he's going to like the answer he gets from the Supreme Court. I think they're going to rule against him.
I'm not sure him liking it is actually the point.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that's my argument here. It's like,
yeah,
they're going to rule against him, but I don't think that's going to be the type of negative against him that you might be thinking.
All right, well, let's also talk about another case against Donald Trump, throwing him off the ballot. Illinois. Hey, yep. Illinois friends, the judge says you shouldn't be allowed to vote for Donald Trump in the primary. Really? Here we go. Our good friend Susie Moore from Red State's going to assess that with us here in just about 2 minutes on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon up to about 53 today, close to normal for Leap Day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in, and I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Hunter Biden testifying behind closed doors in front of Congress yesterday. In his opening statement, he said, "I did not involve my father in my business. For more than a year, you've been hunting me in your partisan political pursuit of my dad. You've trafficked in innuendo, distortion, sensationalism. Oh, you mean like you naked with a bunch of hookers?" Yeah, he didn't bring that part up, did he? No, what the committee has been holding, various text, emails, WhatsApp messages, photos of Joe Biden with Hunter's business partners, millions flowing into the Biden family accounts that they know about, and then 20 different shell companies set up by the Bidens, Hunter paying for Joe Biden's expenses, email aliases. In the midst of all that, Hunter Biden says, There is no proof here. My testimony should put an end to this baseless political charade. You've wasted valuable time, resources, attacking me and my family instead of the issues desperately needing your attention in this country. You know what? To that point, I think he's right. We do need to focus on what really needs our attention in this country. And that would be, Hunter, Hunter, that would be throw your daddy out of the White House as soon as we can. And we're working on it diligently.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
It's Lincoln Day in St. Charles County. This is Tim Jones inviting you to join News Talk STL and U.S. Senator Josh Hawley on Friday, March 22nd at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Charles. Cocktails, dinner, Senator Josh Hawley, and a room full of fellow conservatives. It will be a great, fun night. Just log on to stcharlesgop.com for more details and to purchase tickets, and we'll see you there. That's Friday, March 22nd at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Charles. stcharlesgop.com, stcharlesgop.com.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and SouthernArmory.com. That's SouthernArmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at SouthernArmory.com. Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res who are spreading the love for the month of February. We've trusted Zero Res with our home for years, and right now they have an incredible offer. Just book a cleaning in the month of February and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus they'll throw in a free hallway, and you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
This is what's happening.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk.
101.9 and 94.1.
Anyone listening should be advised.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
You make me weak and wanna die.
All right, here we go again. A judge in Cook County, which is Chicago, says Donald Trump should be kicked off the ballot in Illinois. By the way, the primary election's actually within 3 weeks from right now.
Yeah.
And they just now get around to this. There's this organization that's trying to get Trump kicked off on all the ballots in all the states.
Yeah.
And so this ruling happens. Everything's in limbo. The judge says, I know there's going to be an appeal. Pauses her own ruling for 48 hours, so I'm sure there's going to be an appeal filed like any minute now, probably.
Is this a George Soros judge?
Probably. Probably.
Soros guy.
So, gal, actually, in this case.
Hate that guy.
I'm assuming. Oh, George Soros. Yeah. No.
I hate that guy.
And whatever George Soros touches it. Anyway, I'm not going to go there right now. I'm just saying. All right. Joined now by Susie Moore with Red State. All right, Susie, going to tap into your lawyerish part of your brain here. The judge, after the actual elections commission, the elections board in Illinois, says, no, there's no case here. Donald Trump's on the ballot. Vote for him. Don't vote for him. That's up to you. The judge then hears the case and says, you know what? Colorado made a great point, and I'm ruling that he is not permitted to be on the ballot 3 weeks before the primary election. What on earth is the logical connections here that this judge is making at this late a stage of the game? Is there anything different in this case than what we've seen in the arguments at the Supreme Court in Colorado or by the Secretary of State in Maine or by the officials in Hawaii or any of these other places?
Short answer to that is no. This judge, now just to clarify things, the election board basically, what they determined is we don't have the jurisdiction under the law to make the determination that would take him off the ballot under this set of facts. Because it wasn't like about his age or, something that was straightforward. It involved a constitutional interpretation. And they said we're under law, we're not allowed to make a constitutional interpretation like that. So we don't have the authority to do it. So we're going to punt, which was the right thing to do. the people that are, trying to get him off the ballot then appealed to this judge, who then basically took what the Colorado Supreme Court did and said, yeah, they have it right, so I'm going to do the same thing that they did. And so here we are.
Good morning, Susie. Gabe here. So what do you make of this sort of late in the game sort of play here, considering that the ruling from, on the Colorado case is coming down really quickly, and the fact that the election is right around the corner? Does this make any sense? I'm not even sure logistically this would mean anything.
Well, it does, and only in the sense that this was, the time frame is necessarily condensed. He didn't file to be on the ballot in Illinois till January 4th. The day that he filed is when this group filed their objection to his filing. That went through the process, went through the election board. This judge had a hearing, like a 4-hour hearing on it, February 16th. And then she issued her ruling yesterday. Basically, of necessity, this is a process that is a condensed time frame.
Okay.
I don't know that they could have moved any faster than they did. But yes, because you have the election fast approaching, particularly with Colorado coming up next week, the anticipation is that the Supreme Court may rule maybe tomorrow or early next week. It's all kind of squinched into a very short window.
Now, I think this is an obvious question here, but the ruling in the Colorado case decides all of these other cases, all of these other states' situations, no matter where that is in the legal process, correct?
Well, in theory, because the ruling in the Colorado case will address whether or not he can be on the primary ballot. Most of these challenges had to do with him being on the primary ballot, not the general election ballot. So there could be a second round of these types of challenges, but depending on how the Supreme Court sets out its rationale and how they, address it, that could forestall those further challenges.
That's where my next question lies, is in the rationale that we may see in the Supreme Court ruling. Do you think they would go so far as to really rule on how the 14th Amendment should be applied, or are they going to, do something a little lighter, a lighter touch on it, and maybe kind of kick the can down the road?
That's a very good question, because as we've seen in the past, the Supreme Court has a tendency, and I think this is the right approach, to do as minimalistic, to take as minimalistic an approach as they possibly can. So if they can issue a decision that doesn't require, getting all into rolling up their sleeves and getting into it, they will do so. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that here. What they may do, it's so hard to speculate. One of the things they're being asked to look at is whether or not that clause of the 14th Amendment actually applies to the president.
Right.
Is he, quote unquote, an officer or not? That's a really kind of, nerdy egghead analysis, but people have to, that has to be determined in a sense. But if there's a way for them to avoid doing that and to avoid actually making a determination as far as whether or not Donald Trump committed insurrection, they will do so. I suspect what's going to happen when they issue their ruling is that everybody's going to be mad.
Yeah.
No one's going to be happy with what.
Way
what's
to go out on a limb
Which
there,
means
Susie.
They did their job.
Yeah.
That means they did their job correctly. Just like I know when I've got commenters yelling at me for being super duper pro-Trump and super duper anti-Trump in the same piece, I'm like, I am doing my job right.
Nice.
Yeah, but this obviously Trump is at the center of this. But Susie, these are much bigger pictures that have much bigger questions that have to be answered before next elections, and presidents, 51 and 55 and 60 and 75, who are going to be in office long after all of us are gone. So if it's coming to a head now because we have a boisterous personality like Donald Trump that people love or hate, at least the questions are getting answered now to set some kind of foundational precedent if the Supreme Court goes that direction.
That's true, Mike, and I want to commend you on being an optimist that we're going to have 75%.
That is very optimistic.
No, that's a very good point, and that that kind of ties in with the decision by the Supreme Court yesterday to take up the immunity issue. That too is important to know. What is the scope of presidential immunity? Does it apply? Does it protect Donald Trump or anybody else in that role from particular actions, and if so, to what extent? These are all really important questions, and they kind of highlight the fact that it's really important who's sitting on that court.
Hey, Susie, it's Del here, and I have one critical question that I'd like to ask you because it's something that the whole morning show has been trying to figure out if it's something that's a nationwide issue or if it's just us here in the studio.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, we'd like to know if your pup Daisy
Yep.
has a middle and last name.
She's laying here looking at me suspiciously while I'm talking to you. No, I mean, I guess technically she has my last name, but no, I didn't ever give her like a middle name.
Okay.
Although her original name was Princess. So technically she's Princess Daisy, but we all just call her Daisy.
Oh, look at that. See? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See?
Well, we renamed Rosie too when we adopted her as well. So
yeah. I couldn't live with Princess. It was just too precious.
See, the problem that I had is that when we got Rosie from the animal shelter, we adopted her. They gave her to us with the name Buttercup, and Buttercup, yeah. And so my argument to my wife was, if the cat gets out and I have to go look for the cat, I am not walking up and down the street yelling the word Buttercup.
Well, interestingly enough, Daisy's sister was Buttercup. So we have Princess and Buttercup, an allusion to the Princess Bride.
Yeah,
exactly.
Princess Buttercup. Oh, that's great.
Exactly.
That's great. Okay, I'll take that.
There you go.
As you wish.
All right, Susie. Additional. You say that you're using that word, and I don't think you understand what it means.
It's inconceivable.
It is inconceivable.
Anybody want a peanut?
All right. Susie, obviously continuing coverage on redstate.com. I suspect in the Illinois situation, the appeal is probably going to be filed within minutes at some point. The judge knows it's going to be appealed. What would that appeal likely look at? Would it be an appeal on the merits or an appeal on, hey, the Supreme Court is about to deal with this, put this on hold until there's a Supreme Court ruling?
I think it'd probably be on the merits because she basically did the same thing with hers. I mean, she temporarily stayed it pending the, assuming there'd be an appeal, but she also said her decision would state if the Supreme Court, rules inconsistent with hers.
Right.
So I think they're probably going to say, rather than that, they'll want to go ahead and get it resolved on the merits. So the appeal, but it won't be just to the Supreme Court. It'll have to go to the Court of Appeals above her. And so there's several layers of courts that they have to go through. I don't think they can appeal just from her. She's just a circuit court level judge. She's not the Illinois Supreme Court.
Got it. All right, Susie Moore, redstate.com. Check out redstate.com for continuing coverage of this. Susie, appreciate the update, and be sure to tell Daisy Moore that we said hi to.
Will do.
Thanks, Susie.
Guys. Have a great day.
You too.
314-912-1019. And that's why I brought up, the future presidents, everything. What we're doing right now, we get so caught up in what we're dealing with at the moment. Sometimes we lose track of this is setting the next step of a foundation for the future of the country.
Assume it's for all time.
Yes, assume it's for all time, and we're talking about whether or not we're going to solidify the U.S. Constitution for all time or whether or not we're going to chip into it. That's why we have to think less tribally and more constitutionally.
Mm-hmm.
All right, love to get your thoughts on this. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
When I'm alone, all by myself.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
With someone else, loving, touching, squeezing each other.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Do you or a family member have health care coverage through Missouri Medicaid or Mo Health Net? The Family Support Division is required to make sure everyone still qualifies. You may need to take action to avoid losing coverage. Check your mail for notices from the Family Support Division and visit mydss.mo.gov/renew to create an account on the new benefit portal and to check renewal dates. That's mydss.mo.gov/renew. This message is sponsored by the Missouri Department of Social Services.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Just saying, a week from now, I'm not going to be here.
Maybe you've already checked out.
Leaving my house this morning, it was 27 degrees. I'm like, you know what? Next week, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be in Fort Myers, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Going to be
saying.
Close to 70 degrees when you wake up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think we started something with the pet names thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Taratina, which, hey, Tara, where you been? We haven't seen you on Rumble for a while. Welcome. Yeah. She says, my son has 3 ferrets, Fezzik, Indigo, and Princess Buttercup.
All right.
We started something with this Princess Bride thing.
Yeah.
All right, 7:54 right now. I'm Mike. Got
Ferrets.
Gabe here. Got Stell here.
Are ferrets rodents of unusual size? I'm just curious. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
But we digress.
We digress. Sloppily, but yeah. All right. You got Chuck on the line here. If you're just joining us, we just talked to Susie Moore from RedState.com. In Illinois, a judge has ruled that Donald Trump should be removed from the primary ballot. And it's less than 3 weeks from the primary ballot. And it was the same argument that was made in Colorado and in Maine and in Hawaii and these other states, basically arguing that because of the riots of January 6th, blaming Donald Trump for that he's disqualified under the 14th Amendment. That's the ruling. And Chuck, I understand you have some thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, whatever happened to presumed innocence? To my knowledge, he has never been found guilty of insurrection in any court. So how can we all of a sudden assume that he's guilty?
Well, because he's of the party that's different than them, and so therefore we throw out those.
Okay,
yeah.
I understand that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, I mean,
the bottom line is, why are we even talking about this? I mean, it's never been proven. It's an accusation.
Correct.
Okay, we're going to make decisions based on accusations.
Well, depends on who you ask. If you ask the opposition party, they say, "Heck yeah!"
Oh yeah, yes. Clearly, he's an insurrectionist.
Yeah, that's why any judge that would hear this is not worth anything. Okay, it's just crazy. Just crazy.
Oh
so,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
We're
Great.
On the same page, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Chuck.
Now, my hope, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
My hope is that we figure out how to adjudicate the 14th Amendment, right? Like that's the wider conversation, the wider ruling that I would love to have. Come out of this. Now, Susie might be right though that they're going to kick the can down the road as far as they can with as minimal of a ruling as possible.
Because I think to a lot of these, to Chuck's point, their argument is they're going to make the interpretation of the 14th Amendment, and there's been no conviction of anything. There are accusations, like Chuck said.
Sure, not even charges, but accusations.
Accusations. Well, I mean, you could argue that the Jack Smith case is making the accusation,
making the charge. Mm-hmm.
But there are accusations, absolutely no conviction whatsoever in this particular situation, and so the Supreme Court may look at this and say, we don't have an appeal here on this. What you have are judges or secretaries of state who are saying, we are going to declare that he did this without any sort of conviction whatsoever. And that's the nutty part of this. I mean, obviously I'm not an attorney, but that just seems absolutely ludicrous, because at that point, if we're going to follow this, then at some point do we, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat in those positions of power, do we just have somebody say, well, you know what, I kind of think that they're unqualified under the 25th Amendment, for whatever reason. And so I'm just going to go ahead and unilaterally do this without any sort of due process.
Well, we could say, hey, because of Biden's refusal to enforce the border, that he is aiding and abetting foreign armies, right? So he's a traitor. And we can charge him with, I don't know. Treason, right.
Yeah.
He's like, so you can't run for president if you're convicted of treason.
Exactly. Even whether you're convicted or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, to Chuck's point, this is so much of a bigger question than just the personalities involved right now. I mean, it really is crucial. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I couldn't imagine that they're going to rule that Trump should be on the ballot. I don't think there's any question about that.
Freedom isn't just a word, it should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams, parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct and as-is condition with no middleman involved. I recently bought a house from somebody that was embarrassed to let me in the door. There was stuff all over the place, and the entire house smelled like smoke. However, we were definitely able to see the potential. We gave them a great cash offer that they were very happy with. So if you have a house that isn't in the best shape, maybe in some disrepair, we're interested in making you an as-is cash offer. Please reach out today, KLAMEN Group.com.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. This day will find both the leading presidential candidates making a border run. Former President Trump visits the embattled community of Eagle Pass, Texas, overwhelmed by a tsunami of illegal immigrants and deadly drugs in the past few years. President Biden will stop in Brownsville, Texas, where the border situation has been much less severe. Former President Trump's claim of presidential immunity in the election interference case will be taken up by the Supreme Court. The High Court will decide whether Mr. Trump can be criminally prosecuted.
The decision by the justices calls into question whether his case could go to trial before the November election. While the court set a course for a quick resolution, it maintained a hold on preparations for a trial focused on Trump's efforts to overturn his election loss. The court will hear arguments in late April, with a decision likely no later than the end of June. That timetable is much faster than usual, but assuming the justices deny Trump's immunity bid, it's not clear whether a trial can be scheduled and concluded before the November election. Early voting in some states will begin in September. Keith Peters reporting.
More than 1 million acres have been charred by the enormous wildfires scorching the Texas Panhandle and beyond. Lives disrupted, homes, businesses destroyed, and at least one death.
It's still emotional. This is our life. I mean, we've been here for 50 years, and it's pretty tough.
Panhandle resident Richard Murray saying he lost his beloved pets along with his home. Key readout on inflation this morning. The PCE index, closely watched by the Fed, shows inflation remains very much with us. Prices rising another 0.3% last month from December, a 2.4% price rise from 1 year ago. On Wall Street, The Dow futures are up 44 points. NASDAQ futures 100 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're the reason to be here, that's bigger than you are.
From the creators of Jesus Revolution.
Something about that little girl. I think I'm supposed to help.
Based on the inspiring true story.
My name is Sharon. I'm good at plenty of things. Taking no for an answer ain't one.
Find your purpose. Make a difference.
You want to go on an adventure?
Yeah.
Ordinary Angels. Starring two-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank and Alan Richson. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters now.
Relief Factor. Pain relief that's natural. Pain relief that works. And pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com. Relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Two Canadian governments.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon, up to about 53 today, close to normal for leap day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Are you a Republican voter in St. Louis City? This Saturday, March 2nd, grab your Republican friends and make a national impact by voting for a slate of delegates at the presidential primary caucus right here in the city we call home. It's open to all registered Republicans. It's free and it is important. Doors open 9 a.m. at the St. James Center at 1360 Tam Avenue in the gym. Contact us at stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin God.
You know, we're talking a lot about, Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court's taking up the issue of Donald Trump's claim of criminal immunity.
Right.
You know, while he's president, obviously the Supreme Court's taken up the cases of Donald Trump being thrown off the ballot. And by the way, if you're just joining us here, you're just hopping on the program, the state of Illinois has a judge that's ruled that Donald Trump should not be on the primary ballot in 3 weeks, or just under 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so we'll get to that in the morning news dump at around 8:20. But one of the interesting things, and Gabe and I were just talking here during the information segment, that even when the Supreme Court rules, that doesn't stop violations of the rulings or violations of our rights. For instance, look at the Second Amendment. And Illinois, again, and some other states as well, the Supreme Court, New York State, and some others, California, and they'll make laws and rules that fly in the face of the U.S. Supreme Court, which is supposed to settle the issue.
Right.
You know, not that they can never come back to it. I mean, you've got the stare decisis concept, but for instance, Roe versus Wade being overturned a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They revisited a ruling, so it's not like they never do it. But one of the things that's unusual about what the Supreme Court's doing right now, and I suspect that none of the justices want to be in this position, conservative, liberal, whatever, is that the Supreme Court, by design, allows an issue to get chewed up at several layers along the way.
Right.
So some very few things make it to the Supreme Court. There are a lot of criteria for this, but what's happening right now is because of the time crunch that Susie Moore was talking about a little bit ago. Some of these issues have to go directly to be decided right now by the U.S. Supreme Court. That's not generally what the Supreme Court wants to do.
No.
And we're frustrated, for instance, with Illinois, with the state blatantly trying to essentially take away your Second Amendment rights entirely in the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it's unconstitutional. It is completely inconsistent, not just with the plain language of the Second Amendment, but with the rulings of the Supreme Court.
Very recent rulings, even.
Very recent rulings. Multiple rulings. We know that that's unconstitutional, so we say, why can't the Supreme Court just go, hey, knock it off?
Right.
We've already ruled on this.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that each issue brought up by design gets chewed up by the appeals court, the state court, the appeals court, the appellate court, all these, the other, appellate courts.
Different layers.
All the different layers. And then it goes to the Supreme Court, and then they finalize it. It's frustrating. It's expensive. In the meantime, there are people in Illinois whose rights are being violated right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who refuse to give up their Second Amendment liberties in Illinois who, by definition, are breaking the law.
Right. As it stands.
The law is unconstitutional. It's going to be thrown out. But at the moment, they are in violation of an unconstitutional law. Listen, personally, I'm with you.
Absolutely, yes.
I'm with you. You're going to be proven right on this, but that's part of the frustration. Now, you also look, for instance, at the city of St. Louis, with them wanting to reject a Missouri Supreme Court ruling, because red light cameras is not a federal issue. This is not something that's going to probably ever make its way up to the Supreme Court. By the way, it's 808. Hi.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell.
Yeah.
Hello. We're all okay. So
happy Leap Day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Sleep Day. So here's what's going on. The Missouri Supreme Court years ago ruled red light cameras are unconstitutional. They are not permitted in the state of Missouri.
Here's the ruling.
It has been brought up. It's been decided. It's over.
Right. Should be over.
Yeah. And St. Louis City Hall goes, well, you know what? Not sure that applies to us.
What if we do it this way, though?
What if we do it this way? That's exactly the case. So there's a proposal that was actually filed like back in September or something like that. So it's not like a brand new one, but it just came up for debate this week, probably because of the high profile crashes that are happening, including the tragic death of the two women who were killed downtown on Olive Street after that concert. So an alderman says, let's bring back red light cameras and install those. Necessarily, somebody goes, well, we got the state Supreme Court ruling on this. Their argument, and there apparently is a big debate in City Hall about this, so I want to be fair. This isn't St. Louis City government wants to bring back red light cameras. There is a pretty robust debate happening on it. And the argument by the pro red light camera side, Gabe, is that, well, we have additional protections on this version, so therefore that state Supreme Court ruling banning red light cameras doesn't apply to us.
Right. It feels kind of like a kid trying to weasel their way out of a rule that you set, because it's like, well, what if I did it this way? Wouldn't that solve your issue? Yeah. But I still get to do it. It's like your bedtime's 9 o'clock. I don't want to see you running around the house at 9 o'clock. What if I go play in my room at 9 o'clock? It's like, no. You have to go to sleep. Okay. Well, what if I'm in my bed, but I still get to read and play with my toys until I fall?
Because what you said is it's time to go to bed.
You said to go to bed. I'm in bed.
Yeah.
I'm in bed.
The third grade lawyers.
It's a third grade lawyer situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seems like you've had to deal with this.
Well,
been there.
Done that.
I've dealt with the third grade lawyers.
Yes.
You just said I had to go to bed. You didn't say I had to go to sleep. That kind of thing. So here's what's being argued at St. Louis City Hall. 314-912-1019. Okay, so what it is they're saying, okay, but we have better technology now. And if we write the ordinance that says if we can't see your face clearly and we can't see we can't see the license plate clearly, then we won't issue the ticket. So we're only issuing the ticket if we know it was you.
Right.
driving the car.
So we're good, right?
Yep, and we're gonna outlaw the use of AI. We're gonna outlaw the use of facial recognition technology. So you know what? That means that Supreme Court ruling doesn't apply to us,
Right.
Because
we just got a clear picture.
Right, because you know what? Because we're not actually asleep, but we're still in bed like the we were told to do.
Right.
And that's not the point to me.
Right.
The point to me is that, one, the state Supreme Court ruled this technique is against the law.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just rule it violates Missouri law. They said it is unconstitutional.
Right.
Here's one of the big parts of this. And again, I was on a board of aldermen a long time ago, not in St. Louis, but on a different city, and we dealt with this. My argument, and I believe this was part of the Missouri Supreme Court ruling, is that in order to utilize red light cameras, you must necessarily change your city laws, change your ordinances to assume guilt unless they go through the process to prove themselves innocent. Now, if I'm charged with a crime, if they go and say, Mike, we think you stole that TV from Best Buy, you're now charged with theft or whatever.
Right.
I can go defend myself and say, guys, this happened at 8:45 in the morning, and I am here in Maryland Heights. I'm not at Best Buy. It wasn't me. Okay, the burden of proof is on them to prove that I'm wrong and that I did it.
Right.
I don't have to prove that I'm innocent. I can defend myself, but it's up to them. Now, in a red light camera, you have to write your ordinances and laws that assume that the accusation, which, by the way, usually comes from a private company, contracted by the city, that they assume that you're guilty unless you can prove otherwise.
Right.
Even though it's something like a traffic ticket, you cannot chip into that constitutional foundation and process. That's the big problem with this.
Yeah, I mean, my dad would always talk about the camel's nose in the tent. That whole analogy about you're out in the desert and you're in your tent and it gets cold at night in the desert and your camel's outside, but your camel just want a little warmth, so it sticks its nose underneath the tent just to get a little bit of warmth. And eventually, as the camel starts, I just want my head. If I can just get my ears are getting cold out here, and my neck is just it's just freezing out here. So I'm gonna and by the time you realize it, the camel is in the tent, and my dad would always add this part, and you're outside the tent because there's no room for you. That's kind of the situation that we're talking about. The camel's nose in the tent is a red light camera that overturns the idea of innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
That's the camel's nose. It seems like nothing. It's a corner of the tent. It's not taking up any room as far as you're concerned. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a big deal, Mike. It's not a big deal.
It doesn't even go on your license. It doesn't even get reported.
There's
to
no
insurance.
points.
It's just,
and if we don't recognize your face, we're not even sending you a ticket. It's
Right.
it's fine. It's fine. Except that's the camel's nose, and we know how this story ends.
right. Now, there are ways where camera usage is legal.
Yes.
I got a bill, for instance, from Florida, because I was staying in Cape Coral and going back and forth between Cape Coral and Fort Myers, and they've got these camera things. You don't even pay a toll anymore. It's a
Right.
toll road,
Mhm.
but they snap a picture of your license plate, then they send you an invoice.
For the Skyway there that
For the
goes
Skyway.
between.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, okay, fine. It's not a criminal situation.
Right.
They're just billing me for using. They did. That's fine.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
It's like the smart carts that we were talking
Right.
about at Schnucks, right? It's like, well, if you walked out with that cart, it would charge you for the things
Correct.
that are in your that it has detected in your thing. Well, that's just
fine.
It's exchange for services.
Okay, so here's the other issue here, and I'm going to give credit to the argument that's happening in City Hall in St. Louis, and we know that I don't give them credit very much.
They don't deserve it much.
But drivers in St. Louis are crazy.
Yes.
Okay, and if you're not one of the crazy drivers, you've seen or been affected by the crazy drivers.
There is a legitimate problem with traffic and the disobeying of traffic laws, particularly at intersections in the city of St. Louis. Agreed.
The police chief, Robert Tracy, he was quoted saying, listen, red light cameras change behavior. People see it or they think there's a threat. They're more likely to at least slow down, if not stop. He may very well be right about that. And I think the arguments being made are, listen, people literally are getting killed. People are getting hurt, and so we've got to address the dangerous traffic culture that's happened in St. Louis City or happening in St. Louis City. Not that people don't roll through stop signs everywhere else, it happens. But in St. Louis City, the fact of the matter is people know they're going to get away with it.
Mm-hmm. You want one personal example? I'll give you from last year. I'm leaving Blue City Deli. I come up McNair, you know where Hodex is, at the corner of McNair and Gravois, I guess it would be. I'm at the light there. Everybody on both sides of Gravois have stopped. I get the green light. As soon as I go out into the middle of the intersection, a vehicle comes at about literally 60 miles an hour, passing everybody, facing eastbound on Gravois, and blasts right through the intersection. Had I left maybe a second earlier, I would have been right there, and he would have killed me.
Probably T-boned you,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the problem's real. And I want to point out the problem's real. And I'm going to point out that the red light cameras might even, at least temporarily, reduce it a little bit.
Maybe.
Maybe. So I'm going to give credit that they might think that they're trying to do something good, but having good intentions to do the wrong thing is still doing the wrong thing.
Right.
And so that's the danger, the difficulty of government. And last time we had this conversation, you know, there's always somebody who goes, okay, well, Mike, what's your solution then? You're against the government proposal. You're against something that you just said might work. What's your solution? How about stop defunding the police?
There you go.
How about stop throwing your officers under the bus? How about try to recover from what Kimberly Gardner and Tashira Jones have done? How about get back to a basic service of law enforcement instead of politicizing them? How about replace those hundreds of officer positions because they know that they're going to have a good career and that the prosecutor and at the city hall has their back? How about not putting out press releases every time there's a skirmish with police or there's a car crash, although there's been some stupid car crashes the police should be held accountable
To be
for.
fair.
So you can hold police accountable and still value what they do. You can't defund the police to where there's virtually no traffic enforcement and then wonder why people feel completely free to go through red lights and travel 70 miles an hour down the road until something tragic happens.
You ever see one of those instant karma videos that they have online? You know, some guy with like a you know, their dash cam or something that's running. And I saw one not too long ago. He was coming up to an intersection and he stopped, and then some guy vroom, just kind of races around him through the stoplight. And he's like, what the heck is up with this guy? And then all of a sudden you see, like, out of the corner of one of the corners of the camera view, you see the lights. Whoop, 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 and the cop car turns around again, and the guy who's you know, behind the dash camera, he's just whooping and hollering. He's loving. He's like, yeah, get him.
That's right.
Because that's how we all feel when the law is right there when somebody's doing something stupid and they catch the guy or something like that. The threat of that happening can reduce overall across an entire town a whole lot of that garbage.
Yeah, and in addition to having cameras, instead of having cameras, having, you know, the actual needed traffic patrols is going to be a much more permanent solution to the traffic problems, because the idea of getting pulled over, and let's be honest, there are way too many drivers in St. Louis that have a lot more to hide in their car. They really don't want to deal with an actual cop. That's the solution. It goes back to stop defunding the police.
Absolutely.
All right, let's dump some news on you here around 8:22 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Darrell Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The FAA promotes diversity over safety, wants to hire people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Why don't they just hire blind people to be pilots?
Well, I've actually said that this is a cost-saving measure because if you hire a schizophrenic pilot, the co-pilot's in his head. So you don't have to hire another guy.
That is awesome. Doug Blair. This is your pilot. No, I'm the pilot. No, I'm the pilot. Don't listen to him.
Vic Porcelli. Live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
I wish this weren't a joke, but there's another ruling to kick Donald Trump off the ballot. This time it's right here in the News Talk STL listening area. Also, the Blues are on another streak, and this is not good.
Oh, man.
We've had good streaks with the Blues.
Yeah.
We've had bad streaks with Blues.
And this is a bad one.
We're at the beginning. Hopefully the end of a bad one here. All right, 8:23 right now. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. I'm Mike. All right, here we go again. Cook County judge orders election officials to remove Donald Trump from the Illinois primary ballot.
Orange man bad.
Yeah, pretty much. Judge Tracy Porter put a 2-day pause on her own order to allow for an appeal, which it's 8:23 right now. I wouldn't be surprised if that appeal's been filed like within minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But if not, it'll be filed any time now. The ruling uses the same reasoning as Colorado and Maine's efforts to keep Trump off their ballots, arguing that the 14th Amendment in relation to January 6th is cause to keep Donald Trump off the ballot as an insurrectionist. Insurrectionist, yeah.
Insurrection.
Last month, the Illinois State Board of Elections voted unanimously to keep Trump on the ballot. Illinois primary election is less than 3 weeks away. It is March 19th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually, people are voting now.
Stell's laughing at the way I was saying insurrection.
I thought it was Joy Reid there. For a second.
Well, that's how I hear it in my head. It's one of those gobbling turkeys over there at the View. Just saying the word over and over and over again.
Did you see the Dr. Phil on there with them the other day?
Oh, I saw one clip of him smacking them down.
Oh, my goodness. And it was funny because then Whoopi Goldberg is trying to, the funny part is, the older she gets, one, the dumber she gets, and two, the more she decides to look like a freak.
Yes.
And I don't care what you say, that undermines your credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, but this was killing all sorts of people regarding
like
COVID
killing children.
restrictions.
He's like, we're trying to.
He's like, no, it wasn't. It
wasn't.
was not.
Children are the least affected group.
Oh,
That's
my
right.
goodness. But anyway, back to this
dummies.
Trump thing here. All of these cases, the Illinois case, the Colorado case, the Maine case, Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
all of them are going to be settled once the Supreme Court rules on the Colorado case as far as whether or not Trump's going to remain on the primary ballots, because the Supreme Court's considering that case. And it was brought up on Rumble. Somebody mentioned, I think Susie Moore referenced it a little bit ago too, regarding that this is just the primary. Will they issue a ruling that makes a declaration for the general election, or will we be in for another round of these arguments for the general election? That remains to be seen. TBD, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. How about we talk about the Bidens for a little bit?
Okay.
Because they do stuff too.
Like Commander?
Commander. Commander Biden.
He's a biter.
He started a discussion here this morning too.
Yes,
because
right. The multi-name.
The news media actually referred to him as Commander Biden.
Right.
The last name.
Commander Biden.
Yeah, we got to asking, what are your pet's last names? Do they get adopted into your last name?
Yeah.
And then I mentioned that my cat, Rosie, actually has a full name when she gets in full trouble there as well.
And I forgot about my big dog, Husky Shepherd mix from back then. He passed, but his name was Brutus Maximus Aurelius Pfeiffer.
Nice.
Yes.
I like
Very nice.
Yes.
I know. I had a dog once, too, that I'll tell you the full name on that one as well. Maybe we'll do that here in a little bit. Okay, Hunter Biden. I don't think Hunter Biden's accused of biting anybody. I mean, you can ask the Russian hooker. I don't know.
Some of those videos,
they may have done some weird stuff when they were on cocaine.
I think there were some leashes involved in this. I mean,
surprised. Hunter Biden did not bite anybody at a closed-door deposition with some House Oversight Committee members in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday.
Because he was muzzled.
Should be. All right, so the Republicans are continuing their impeachment inquiry against President Biden, and that's what they had Hunter Biden behind closed doors for. Oversight Committee Chairman Congressman James Comer was on Hannity last night. He says that it went bad for Hunter and Joe and good for the Republican investigators.
We were able to confirm a lot of the wrongdoings through Hunter Biden's testimony. There are many financial crimes that we believe were committed by the Biden family.
Okay, so now what remains to be seen is if there's going to be a public hearing regarding this, which is interesting because originally Hunter Biden said, I'll do this in public, but I'm not going behind closed doors. Well, now they've gone behind closed doors, and the Republicans have agreed to do that, and now will be interesting to see whether Hunter Biden still wants to do a hearing in public with all the cameras now that the Republicans have what they say is something else to follow and evidence as well.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. In the U.S. Senate, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is stepping aside and says he's allowing for a new generation of Republican leadership.
Father Time remains undefeated. I'm no longer the young man sitting in the back, hoping colleagues would remember my name. It's time for the next generation of leadership.
So here's what's going on. He's going to step down as Republican leader in November after the election.
Okay.
So he's going to remain the Republican leader through the election, and then he's going to finish out this term, which doesn't end until 2027. So Kentucky will elect a new senator in 2026 unless he resigns or otherwise leaves office before then. So he's going to stay in the Senate, just not calling the shots for the Republican Party, for the Senate Republicans at least. He's 82 years old. He is the longest-serving Senate leader in U.S. history.
Wow.
So my question here is, do you think the Freedom Caucus folks and Matt Gaetz are thinking, hey, we just scored a hat trick with McCarthy, McDaniel, and McConnell all gone, because that was their focus of getting those folks out?
Yeah, I mean, maybe at this point, Ron McDaniel's going to leave after Super Tuesday. McCarthy's already gone,
right?
He's out, and now McConnell. So yeah, they might be arguing that. I would think they could probably make a real good argument that here's the checklist of what we wanted to do, done. Now all of those people can go, that wasn't because of you. Well, the end result is there.
Yeah.
As well.
So the McParty is gone. So now hopefully we can get some actual meat in our red meat.
Let's fantasize for a moment here.
Okay.
Republican, I guess in this case, minority leader, Republican leader Rand Paul.
Oh, baby.
Republican leader Mike Lee.
That's a steak.
Republican leader Ted Cruz. Oh, my goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
wouldn't that be awesome?
Some solid names there.
We got away from the McNuggets meals, and we're going to steak with Rand Paul if we do that. Oh, my gosh.
Going from McDonald's to Tony's.
Yes.
All right, couple quick sports notes here. Redbirds lost Wednesday's spring training game to the Mets. Final score there, 3-0. This afternoon, Cardinals host the Nationals at 12:05. Kyle Gibson on the mound for the start there. This one's going to be on TV. It's going to be on Valley Sports Midwest. If you want to check that out. Blues are now on a losing streak. Oh yeah, they've had some really good winning streaks and some losing streaks right now. Losing streak. They ended up on the wrong end of a 3-2 overtime loss in Edmonton last night. That's their third loss in a row, but they've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Today's a travel day for the Blues. They're going to head back home for a Saturday game at Enterprise against Minnesota, and then they hit the road again after that. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1, number one for live and local conservative talk.
up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a chilly start, mostly sunny skies will help temperatures recover this afternoon up to about 53 today, close to normal for Leap Day. A weak weather disturbance scoots through tonight, but probably enough to trigger a scattered light mix of rain and snow as we dip down to 34 for the morning low. Maybe a little accumulation on grass and elevated surfaces, but it just wets the roads for the Friday morning rush. That all moves out. Partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. We bounce back to 52, near 70 on Saturday, and almost 80 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Once the greatest fighting force on Earth, the U.S. Army slashes its force thanks to recruiting issues. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
The Fed's new FedNow system is all about surveillance and control. Secure your assets today with something Washington cannot manipulate. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, and I recommend diversifying your retirement into a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. Do this right now. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 and get a free info kit from Birch Gold. There's no obligation or purchase required.
Message and data rates may apply.
With at least 2 foreign wars raging and a massive invasion at our own southern border, now is probably not the best time to slash our fighting force, but alas, here we are. The United States Army is cutting its force by 24,000 thanks to recruitment shortfalls. Most of the cuts will be posts that are already empty due to lack of Americans wanting to sign up and fill them. Perhaps that's due to the declining sentiment of patriotism nationwide. Perhaps it's due to the COVID vaccine requirements. Perhaps it's due to the DEI push and military drag queen recruitment videos. Perhaps it's due to all of the above, plus the reluctance of young men and women to serve under Commander-in-Chief Sleepy Joe. Now is not the time to have a dwindling national defense, but that is the sad reality. So once again, we can say, let's go, Brandon. I'm Tommy Lahren.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 at hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time. Incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
I got to tell you, when you think of great 80s music, this is one of those key go-to songs.
Oh, yeah. This is top.
Pretty much top of the list tune, yeah.
1984 was the name of the album. It was actually released, coincidentally, in 1984.
No kidding.
Well, that's odd.
Imagine that. And if you've got some ideas for flashback, what's that?
What's the chance of that happening?
I know. Imagine that. It's kind of like the same probability of a show hosted by Mike Ferguson is called Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I mean, honestly, that's how I got the gig, because they're like, we can't go hire somebody else
yeah, we
to
need
host Mike Ferguson in the morning. We better look for somebody named Mike Ferguson.
Yeah.
That's how I got the job.
Yeah. Jeff Allen's a genius. By the way.
So Here's don't forget tomorrow's Flashback Friday. So if there's an 80s song that you want to hear for our bump music, send them to us. You can send them to us on the comments on Facebook. You can tweet it at us. It's still called tweeting at you, right?
Yeah.
Xing at us, whatever. For the next 14 minutes, I'm going to be able to see it on the chat box in Rumble, or you can email Stel, S-T-E-L, at newstalkstl.com, and just say, hey, I want to hear this 80s Flashback Friday bump music.
And we've got a nice list.
Oh, yeah.
2 pages.
Oh,
I'm sitting
boy.
on my desk.
Oh, wow. You got a backlog, huh?
Yeah, kind of.
But
So
we actually prefer, we kind of lean towards the suggestions.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I don't think anybody's going to know music over the last 50 years the way that Stel does. But
Except maybe for Vic.
Well,
Yeah,
that's true, yeah. But so we're going to we take it. We have a lot of fun with the Flashback Friday tomorrow. And by the way, if you want to see the list of the music that we play every day, here, just go to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning page on newstalkstl.com. Okay, let's see here. It is 8:37 right now. Got Gabe here in the studio. Got Stel here in the studio as well. Still ahead here, 8:50. This was so funny. This just kind of organically developed throughout the day.
Yeah. I love this.
We got to like naming your pets.
Yeah, it's a running joke.
It's just a running joke because there was a news clip that was played earlier, and it referred to Commander Biden.
Yeah.
That was a German Shepherd, I think it was?
Yeah, Shepherd.
Shepherd,
Purebred.
and it kept biting the Secret Service. And
Like
it turns
26
out
times.
20 sometimes.
Yeah.
And I mentioned as like Hunter or Commander Biden. You know, that was like the last name, and so I asked. I think Gabe, I asked you. I said, "Does your cat? Do they have?
a
Are their last name a Pfeiffer?
Do they take the last name?
And
He's
so
like,
it kind of took on a life of its
sort
own.
of technically, yeah.
So yeah, do your pets have last names or full names? Because Rosie the cat at our house has a full name.
Yeah.
And then we can get this more. But you mentioned your dog had a great.
Yeah, Brutus Maximus Aurelius Pfeiffer.
We named it when I was in high school. We had a dog, and we ended up with a full name with that one. It was really funny. I'll talk about that at 8:50. But I'd love to know your all's pets' names as well. All right, let's see here. I have just lost my train of thought. What the heck were we about to talk about?
We were going to talk about the violence against not just Catholic churches, but I think a lot of faith-based organizations, and other institutions, I think, in the wake of a lot of sort of left-wing violence.
Right. So the left-wing
stuff.
violence. So this really came from two places. You know, I think a lot of people know that I have a nationally syndicated show that airs on weekends, including here on News Talk STL. And I was talking with my friends over at the First Liberty Institute. Now, First Liberty Institute exists for one reason only, and that is to defend religious liberty. And they will defend anybody's religious liberty. Anybody's.
Yes.
They have defended Muslims' religious liberty. They have defended Buddhist, liberty. Most of their practice is Christians' religious liberty because that's where the attacks are in this country, or after Christians and Catholics and anybody in Christendom. And then, of course, we're talking with Darrell Jones from the Herzog Foundation a little bit earlier, and they picked up on the same data that the Family Research Council put together. They just collected crime data, and since the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe versus Wade, there was an immediate spike in attacks on pregnancy resource centers and threats against them, and on religious organizations and on family organizations. But this data continued to come in. In 2023, the number of attacks, particularly against religious organizations, more than doubled from 2022. That's stunning. So what you have there is not a fad.
Not a spike.
Not a spike. It's a trend. And it is leftist violence, and I'm counting vandalism as violence. So you throw a brick through, a family association's window, that's violence. But in this case, we're just looking at religious institutions. The Catholic Church has taken the brunt of this more than any others.
Right, because they are, as a Christian organization, they are particularly pro-life.
Yeah, and very vocal about it. And very uncompromising about it. At least in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So here's what we're looking at here is that your religious freedom in this country, we tend to think of that as stopping government from getting in the way of your religious freedom or observances or expression or anything like that. That's true.
Largely.
But now we have a situation where people are using violence to try to essentially attack you for religious beliefs.
It's certainly for expressing religious belief in your practice of participating in society.
Right. And that is being argued is also a violation of your religious freedom.
Sure.
Because if I want to go to a church, but there have been Molotov cocktails or bricks or the spray paint, if abortion's not safe, neither are you, which is the catchphrase of the leftist criminals at this point, and that you're assuming some physical risk of going, many people will think twice before going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by definition, that's terrorism.
Yes.
By definition, is that violating your religious freedom? I mean, you're still free to go and take the chance, but is it a First Amendment thing? And so, technically speaking, probably not. But at the same time, when government doesn't prosecute or even try to pursue these people, are they in a backdoor way allowing a violation of your religious freedom?
Absolutely. I mean, and here's this goes back to the concept of government to begin with, right? If the concept of Republican government in America is to protect your rights, not just from them, which is what the Constitution does, but also from each other.
Yeah.
Protect us from violating each other's rights. That's the public safety aspect of the responsibilities of government.
And the property rights.
And the property rights.
Yeah.
Is if life, liberty, and property are the three basic rights, of humanity, and governments are established in order to protect and defend those, then when other people are trying to take away your liberty, your religious liberty, and violating the sanctity of the property that you have, in your collective, in organizations built up, then it's incumbent upon government to defend you against those attacks. When the government decides to bow out, they're essentially taking a side. They're saying, no, that's okay. They're agreeing to the purpose of that violence, in my view.
Yeah, and this isn't coming from the right. Now, there were some fringe right people back in the 80s, maybe early 90s, but generally 80s, who committed horrible crimes in the name of trying to defend life.
Right.
Murdering people.
I think there was one abortion doctor who was murdered.
There was more than one. There was a few.
Okay.
And they rightfully went to prison where exactly they should be.
Sure.
Now what we're seeing is much larger scale attacks on religious institutions, houses of worship. For instance, I have absolutely nothing in common with the Islamic faith.
Right.
I have read their book. I disagree with it completely. I don't respect the religion. I respect your right to the religion. But if somebody decides that they are going to commit crimes and violence against a mosque because we don't like the religion, you're violating somebody's religious freedom. And if that's allowed, that means that you're allowing somebody to attack mine. You don't have to like what people believe to respect their right to live their life and believe that way. As long as they're not violating your rights, you can be as wrong as you want to be.
Sure, that's America.
That's how it works. And it's hard because there are other countries where they don't have this, but they also have homogenous societies where everybody believes the same thing.
Anyway. Just kind of,
yeah.
I mean, you look at Sweden, people like, hey, look how peaceful it is in Sweden or Japan or things like that. It's like, yes, those are homogenous societies.
Yeah,
they're not pluralistic the way we are.
Japan's not as peaceful as it used to be.
Well, it's getting a little worse off, I think, partially because of their demographic bombs going off. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. But Sweden, Norway.
Yeah. I mean, it's like those are homogenous societies, so of course they're going to have less of the conflicts that you tend to get when there are culture clashes, the way there are in a pluralistic society, the way we are, the way we're set up. But that means it's incumbent upon government then to be more proactive to protect the ability of individuals to practice, to behave in such a way, so long as it's not violating other people's rights, that they're allowed to live a life of according to their own conscience. And the government has to be proactive in protecting those rights because we are a pluralistic society, and those culture classes are going to create problems.
Do the churches that you go to, guys, and you don't have to say which one it is if you don't want to, do you all have security officers?
Not officially.
Okay. I mean, there's somebody assigned the task, I'm sure. But
Not officially.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
Yeah.
What about yours?
Yes, we go to two different ones off and on. One of them does not have, I would say, anyone who's obviously designated, but we know that there are individuals who are packing.
There's a plan.
Yes.
Yep.
And the other one has very obvious ones. And probably locations critical for both of them, because the one that doesn't is further out from the city. The other one's in Maryland Heights.
Yeah. So we're the church that the church that I go to with Rachel. We're not members, but where we go, uniform police, off-duty uniform police, hired right there.
Nice.
I honestly don't think this church would probably be a target of anything. I don't think it's that conservative, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is that you generally have to have that now. You have to be proactive at the church level, and you should be.
Yeah.
Because the government's job is to prosecute when that happens and make it clear that if you do this, then we're going to come after you, throw you in jail or whatever the case is. But when you look at the sheer numbers, hundreds of times a year, some religious institution is being attacked for what they believe. And that is a trend that we cannot allow to stand in this country if we want the foundations of our culture and society to last. And that means that we also have to have the same respect for the rights of the religions that we don't like or find abhorrent.
Yeah. Now, sadly, what this means, though, is we're going to have to be more proactive about protecting ourselves in that regard.
Right.
In the same way that, our increasing the increasing criminal activity out here, the sort of crime-friendly environment that's being fostered by these Soros-appointed prosecutors and judges and things like that, that's creating a situation where you have to be more proactive about your personal safety.
Yep.
It's the same thing for you have to be more proactive about your individual liberties as it pertains to your religion, and just any number of things. Your property, you got to be proactive now.
Got to. All right, 314-912-1019. All right, I'm going to have to recount how this conversation started.
Okay, please.
Thing. But when you mentioned your dog's full name that you used to have, it reminded me of our dog's full name that we used to have, which I'm kind of proud of to this day. 40 years later as well. But our cat has a full name. So what do you think? In the last few minutes, let me know, what are your pets' names? Do they inherently have your last name? Like Rosie is Rosie Ferguson.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
It sounds weird. So I'm telling you, this is going somewhere. Hang with me just ahead here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hello, America. It's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you don't have Consumer Cellular yet, now is the perfect time to switch and save. For a limited time, new customers can get wireless service for as low as $15 a month for your first year. Yep, the same exact nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for $15 a month for an entire year. What are you waiting for? Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and use code RADIO15.
See consumercellular.com/firstyear15 for promotional details.
Fellow Americans, former CIA officer Jason Hansen here. Market instability and soaring debt have put your retirement at risk. For protection, I recommend diversifying into physical gold from Advantage Gold, a 5-star rated gold company I've used for years. Their customer service is unmatched. Call 800-741-GOLD now and say Jason Hansen sent you and get a free 2024 gold investing kit. Again, call 800-741-GOLD.
My name is Todd Showalter, and I'm announcing The Right Mind Show is officially running Saturday nights at 5. I'll now open the floor for questions.
Is The Right Mind Show funny at all?
No comment. Next question. Yeah, you, different reporter with the same voice.
Your co-host is very cute.
Not a question. I've got time for one more.
Do you do any impressions on The Right Mind Show?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Joe Biden getting out of bed.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Thursday at 4:25. We'll speak with Dakota Wood on the Middle East situation. And at 5:25, Derek Morgan, Executive Vice President of Heritage, on the 2024 Index of Economic Freedom.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Stell got some suggestions for Flashback Friday.
Great, go ahead.
So on Rumble in the chat box, Top Scott says, let's see here, Rebel Yell. He also says Red Hot, which I think he's referring to Motley Crue's Red Hot.
Oh, yeah.
Top Scott, if I got that wrong, if it's a different Red Hot, but the only Red Hot song I know from rock in the 80s was Motley Crue. But Rebel Yell, obviously Billy Idol. All right, what do you name your pets? We'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to tell you how we got there so people don't think we're just drinking this early in the morning. All right, real quick, though. Tony's got some thoughts. We were just talking about the religious targeted violence that's attacking so many institutions in the country, mostly Christian, a lot of them Catholic as well. Tony, I just got a minute or so for you, but what's your take on that?
I'm just want to say I'm glad you're talking about it because so I'm Catholic, and the two churches that I've gone to, one here in Missouri, another one in a different state, have both been threatened by what's their name, Bruce Revenge or whatever their name is.
Oh, yeah.
And the one I currently go to, we don't have visible security, but we have a couple guys that are designated as carriers, and we have a couple people designated as callers and stuff. But the church I used to go to in another state, they had to hire a full security detail, like 16 or 18 people, I think they have now. And it's just ridiculous. And I have a friend up in Michigan who, after the Dobbs decision, their church was vandalized to the tune of $12,000, something like that.
Man.
Oh my God.
So,
yeah.
It's getting ridiculous, and it's about time that some of these groups get designated as terrorist groups.
Absolutely.
Well, again, by definition, that is terror. You're right, Tony. By the definition of terrorism, that's exactly what that is. Hey, good points, man. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tony, thanks for being a part of the show, man.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, so we're a little bit earlier. There was a promo that played here, and it took some news clips, and one of them referred to Commander Biden.
Right.
You know, the dog that kept biting Secret Service. And it was kind of funny to me that, one, we were using a clip of a reference to a dog in the promo. I got a kick out of that. And the second, I'm like, well, yeah, because when you name it, you name the dog or you name your pet, then ends up with your full your name. Like we took Rosie to the vet for the first time after we adopted her, and you looked at the paperwork and it was Rosie Ferguson.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, she's not getting a driver's license.
but she might be getting a magazine subscription like Stell's.
That's right. That's right. Because you would get stuff with your dog's name with the last name and then find out who was. How was it that you did? It was brilliant.
We did it intentionally and mainly with McDougal, our last dog. But I'll be honest with you, going back when you've been married almost 50 years, you get a lot of pets. So we had Ambi Castanon, which is Greek for chestnut because he was chestnut colored. And then we had Covey, Sebastian, Annie, and McDougal. And for most of them, we did give them the last name Ponticus. And we did it because we wanted to see if magazine companies were sending our name around to other organizations, and they would start getting mail. And McDougal's still getting mail today, which I find kind of
McDougal
cool.
Ponticus.
Okay, so it was funny because with our cat Rosie, when she would get in trouble, I'm like, well, if you hear your full name as a kid.
Yeah, that means you're in
so
trouble.
we expanded Rosie, and so like we had somebody over at the house, and I got on Rosie because she still likes to jump up on the dining room table, which she's not supposed to do.
It's a no-go zone.
She knows that. And I would look and I went, Rosalita Butthead Ferguson. And they're like, what did you just say? I'm like, that's her full name, Rosalita Butthead Ferguson.
That's her full name, yeah.
And you had a dog that had a great name.
Yes, Brutus Maximus Aurelius Pfeiffer. Yes. Now the thing is, I never said his name in anger. It was always basically announcing his presence.
Yeah. Rosie knows that if she hears the full name, she's in trouble.
She's in trouble.
But it's funny, when I was in, I think I was in high school, we got a little Beagle mixed dog when I lived in Camp Point, Illinois. And my dad was very strict on like movies and stuff. And I wanted to name him Rocky.
Yeah.
Because I love the Rockies movies. He's like, I don't like that, it's Hollywood entertainment and all that kind of stuff. This little dog, was very active and whatever. And right off the bat, of course, with a pup, one of the things you learn, you got to clean up after your dog.
Yeah,
and this little guy had a lot of output.
Disproportionate output.
Right. And I'm like, where is that coming from? So we ended up naming him Rowdy because he was so energetic and just barked a lot, and it took us forever to get that under control. So we ended up calling him Rowdy Rocky Pooper.
Oh, yeah! Yeah! All right, okay. Yes. You said Rowdy, and in my back of my head, I said Rowdy Piper.
Yep. And I wanted to call him Rocky, but I couldn't call him Rocky.
Right, exactly. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we ended up being Rowdy Rocky Pooper. And it was unfortunate because I think he was a little compromised because when we got him home that day, my brother dropped him on his head.
Oh, no.
And I just don't think he was ever quite the same on that.
Dang it.
And I say that wondering if my brother's listening in Chicago right now because he gets so mad when I tell that story.
He's like, I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, he was squirming. It wasn't my fault. But I'm just saying that Chris Ferguson dropped little Rowdy as a pup right on his head.
You heard my dog.
And then from there, he was weird the whole time.
It was so weird. That's why he's so rowdy.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for all the suggestions on the music and a lot of these dog names. It's funny because, for instance, one of them said, hey, I'm going to get a dog named Commander Trump just to make the left mad.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow.